Good evening, folks. It is November 17th, 2023. It is a continuation of the longest running episodic, whatever the hell this is. And it is Friday night, and Bobby Burrow is moving things around in the garage of knowledge.
You got to get comfortable in this bloody chair that slides around on
There you
wheels.
go.
There we go.
Good stuff. Now, believe it or not, folks, a couple of things. So first of all, this week I was a little bit under the weather post-Expo. The illnesses. So, that's the thing. Downside of talking to enough people, eventually that kind of thing happens. It's okay. I'm on the mend, but you know what kind of fueled me, got me through this week and slowly healed me as the week has gone on? Schadenfreude. And we've got a lot of it. I'm going to start off with, but let me acknowledge a couple of comments here, and we'll get into one right off the top. We'll start off. And I've got a list. Oh, believe me, I've got a list. So let's start off here. Paul. Hola, gents. I'll acknowledge Eric when he brings Crumble for the entire class. Facts.
We didn't get Crumble at the show.
It's true. We should have, yeah. Michael Ham says, what's up, Paul? Who is Eric? Facts. Josh here says, it's Friday night. You know what that means? Because I'm Carlos' live. Thank you, Josh. This was your moment, Eric. You could have.
Yeah, you should have
the line.
You didn't say anything stupid.
Oh, that's true.
Saved by the bell, Bobby Burrow. I know, Dufex. Good evening. Andy, kind of a ho-hum day. Just wanted to stop by and see what's happening in the hobby with the guys. Damn right, Andy. Brandon, good evening, fellas. Happy Friday. Thank you. Happy Friday to you as well. And Jeff, hello, everyone. Good evening, Jeff. So, like I said, I do have a bit of an agenda tonight. Believe it or not, here's the funny thing about it. The thing I'm going to start with is something that obviously kind of blew up today. But the reality was, I already had a list before this. And I call it the Fall Expo Post-Mortem because there's plenty, like, between now Bobby's here and Eric is here, so we can share stories and talk about it. We will. But the thing is, like, I have to start in the proper place.
We have an agenda.
As I mentioned. Yeah, that's right. I got an agenda. So we got to go in the right places at the right times. But all I got to say is this. Like I mentioned before, now I've got to do all the housekeeping really quick off the top because otherwise I'm going to get distracted and we're going to lose sight of where we're going here. So first, I'm going to say that I was invited to Big Scott's channel for Sunday to possibly talk some Expo stuff. He's got some questions. No problem. I'll come on and answer some questions. And he let me know in advance, so I'll be there on Sunday. Figure out what the time and everything is, and then Eric knows. And then we'll figure out what the time and everything is, and I'll let everybody else know. So since I know, I'm letting you know. Also, I want to thank our friends at AMG Collectibles. I want to do that right off the top so we make sure we've covered that. So thank you to them, amgcollectibles.ca. The breaks are on hold for now, so just amgcollectibles.ca and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. So we've got that covered. Thank you to AMG for support and help with the channel. And one more thing before we go. I want to mention as well that maybe somewhere along the way we'll talk about Leaf officially being sold, and Panini and Fanata and Panini and WWE have settled their lawsuit. I don't want to completely ignore those things. Like there was legitimate stuff to talk about, but we're going to have to go elsewhere first. So now that I've covered at least those basic items, I want to start off with this. I do want to give this the gravitas and the respect it deserves. But the thing is, every time I thought about it, in the Discord, we had so much fun this afternoon talking about this. So before I do, I need a cathartic moment. So if you will all indulge me, let me start off with this and then we'll proceed. Now, with that out of the way, I feel better because otherwise I would have been cackling in between. That would have been sad. It would have been a shame. So I need to be able to focus. So thank you to the $1 Million Man for your support in this moment. Okay, so let me start off with this explaining. So here's what it comes down to. This kind of blew up this afternoon. And what it comes down to is a Instagram account named Modest Card Collection. Did a little bit of investigation on a card that they were bidding on. And what they discovered was that it appeared that it was being shill bid on. And I'm actually going to go through the Instagram posts from them. So I'm going to link to that in the description for their Instagram. So if you check it before a day from now, basically, you got about 24 hours. It's about 9 hours in. So I'm going to show it to you now while it's still live. But then we'll get into it a little bit more and what it plays into. So I'll share the screen with you guys. I'll go through it, and then we'll touch on some other points here. First order of business. So here it is. So did some minor investigating and discovered that a popular podcast host shill bid and didn't pay for the 2013 Prizm Gold Eli I posted earlier this week. So they had bought this card from the seller. And what happened was that the item had been bid up to a certain point. This person was the underbidder. They didn't win. But what happened is that the person who won the auction did not pay. So they were able to work something out with the seller to buy it from them for basically the full price that was underneath it. So we'll come back to that in a second. I want to make sure I started with that. So that's the first point. So how did they come to this conclusion? We'll go to the next slide here. Decided to message the seller to see if they would disclose the bad buyer, Let me pause that. Skill's a bad buyer. As I had been on the bad end of some shilling over Giants cards in the past, turns out they're not all related to this. And again, we believe someone would be as rational as me in a mega bid. We'll come back to the whole mega bid thing. So they did give them the actual user ID of the person that was bid. Yeah, because the person had not paid and the seller blocked them. So as a result of that information they were willing to share, like, yeah, this is the one. So it was sports car, not card, CAR 28. That was the bad buyer. So now we go forward, and they did a little more digging, found their eBay account, 2 cards for sale. And those 2 cards match up with Sports Card Therapist. If any of you are familiar with that podcast. And by the way, I can add that I took a look for that Willie Mays, and I can tell you that it was pulled down. But the thing is that eBay completed auction still shows it. SGC has serial numbers on the front. It's the same card. So I corroborated that separately on my own. So I agree with that result. Okay. So here it is, connecting the dots, looking at the pictures, confirming that it's the same items that were on the Instagram. So here it is. Just for the transparency, here's the eBay listing matching the Instagram account. Slabs are the same ID. Correct. All good so far. So, and then on the actual posting for the Eli thing, Sports Card Therapist responded there. Congrats. Me and a handful of others were also bidding on this one, which corroborated the entire sequence of events up until this point. So all good so far. So they had also won another card. So there were 2 different cards that this same thing happened to. They were the top bidder and didn't pay. So then from here on in, they continue saying they don't want to be a watchdog, but they wanted to do, and Sports Card Therapist has a large microphone and a little bit of accountability and do with it. Now, if you go from there and you go to the Sports Card Therapist Instagram page, he did post a video. And I'm not going to play it for you because it's 9 minutes long. And it's 9 minutes of kind of going in circles, trying to define what shill bidding is, trying to say that what he was doing wasn't shill bidding, even though the result was basically the same. So I kind of disagree. The end result is this. So there's the high level. Now you get why people are scandalous.
It's lovely.
We love it. And the good news is that he did do his due diligence to confirm things, went and matched up the cards, the serial numbers and everything, made sure everything matched up. And everything I see corroborates it. Looks like a solid case. And again, Sports Card Therapist confirmed, he stated that he had done this with 2 cards. Is that the full extent of it? People can dig into it further. But for now, we confirm there are 2 cards where this was done, for sure.
When are those 2 cards back?
So they were both Eli Manning cards. So one of them was that card that was shown on that picture, that gold Prizm. And then there was another Eli Manning card.
Sorry.
What's that?
Any graded by Beckett?
I think they were both graded by PSA, I believe. I can double check, but I believe they were PSA. Sorry, we can't incorporate the Beckett piece into it. So anyway, let's start off with
incorporate the Beckett piece into it.
I'm sure we can. All right, so let's just start off with this high level. Okay. Obviously scandalous, but really what it comes down to is this. Let's just. That's why I wanted the $1 Million Man cackle off the top, so I could be a little bit serious for this part. The truth is, here's the real takeaways. Number one, easy, simple rule for all this stuff. Whatever your bid is, if you bid for it, you should pay. You win the auction, you pay, whatever it is. Part of Sports Card Therapist's excuse was that he thought that it had been shill bid, even though the underbidder was the guy who ended up buying it for effectively the full price because of his bid. But in reality, it pushed everybody else up, because when somebody bids high and other people bidding high, it pushes the price up. So in reality, it's like, well, unfortunately, whatever your suspicion is, you are the high bidder. You basically agreed to pay this. You made a bid for that amount. You're basically saying, I'm willing to pay this. So really very straightforward, cut and dry. You made the bid. You won the card. You pay for the card.
If there was 15 shill bids, you're still paying for the card. Doesn't matter.
Correct. Yeah. And we've talked about this before. Truthfully, hopefully the eBay platform, now they're starting to do the thing where supposedly they're going to introduce the thing where you have to put in a credit card so that as soon as you win, it pays automatically, which would be great. We're hoping that they implement that across the board. But really, eBay as a platform is the one who needs to be at the lead of pushing this and making sure there's some accountability to the buyers and making sure they actually pay for things. But here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. We've already talked about this before. You cannot prevent shill bidding, really, unless you're the platform. The platform is the one who has to do it. You as the individual can't stop it. However, if you're sniping cards, it mitigates a lot of the damage. If you're not putting in a bid early, people can't chip away at you and push you up.
That's
so
right.
Bid at the last possible moment that you can. That helps you. So that'll help you a little bit. So that's the key piece to this thing. So that's number one. And number two, don't make up a bunch of excuses after, because here's the problem. What came after that is people started circling the wagons. Some folks obviously were condemning him for this, and other folks were like, well, he's trying to make amends because part of the video, again, it's 9 minutes long, so I'm not going to bore you. I will link it in the description for you so you can watch it on your own. But as he goes through it, he gives a whole explanation, tries to talk about the definition of shill bidding and how this doesn't apply to it, trying to get out of the whole portion of it. But here's the other piece. When he goes through that whole excuse process and coping process, he says, okay, cool. And then he says, I'll make them whole for the difference in the price that it got pushed up higher as a result of my bid and they had to pay more and blah, 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 which sounds great. Would you have done that if they hadn't done the investigative work and called you to the carpet publicly?
Probably not. It actually sounds like the explanation was another Brent Hugan PWCC kind of video.
But all I'm saying is like, it's all well and good after the fact, but after it's already been shown and proven, and you've kind of been caught, red-handed, dead to rights. And again, now you're saying those are the only 2 times it happened. It's like, well, do we know that for sure? It is a question you can ask. Do we know there haven't been other? And also, clearly, you don't understand what shill bidding is. The reality is, so really, here are some simple rules, because he tried to hide behind the idea. It's like, well, it wasn't my card and I wasn't bidding on my card. It's like, that's not the only way the shill bidding works. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not the limit. Let's make some simple rules here. Ground rules that everybody can work with here. Number 1, don't bid on your own shit. That's easy enough. I think it's reasonable enough. Most people can get through that.
I got number 2.
So far. Go for it.
Don't let your friends bid on your stuff.
That would be good. Yes, let's avoid that. That's a good way of preventing a lot of issues. If you manage those 2 things, we're already off to a good start. It won't cover everything, but it's a good start, a good starting point. But number 3, if you are going to bid on something, bid if you intend to pay. Treat it like, yes, you're bidding, but whatever the amount is, if you don't want to pay that much, don't bid that much. That's really easy. If you do not want to pay that much, do not bid that much. It is not you can be concerned. You can say, I think this has been shill bid. That's something you take up with eBay or the seller, or you do whatever you need to do. But the expectation is whatever you want it at, you made a bid saying, I am willing to pay this, therefore pay it. That's it. The rest of it is just excuses. I don't care. Like, the rest of it, I'm not interested in your excuses otherwise.
Well, I guess that's where your feedback really comes in. If people get a few bad negatives, your rating does drop down. And
the problem is that as a buyer, you can't get negatives.
Pardon?
As a buyer, you don't get negative
statements. You can
that's not
right.
Yeah, as a buyer, it doesn't work anymore.
No, I understand.
Yeah. So the seller doesn't have that recourse. Quickly want to touch on here. Indigenous. Good evening, name. In the words of Nature Boy, woo. Look at you getting in there. My guy says AI now shill bids for you and then lies about doing it. Love it, him. Dufek says, with therapists like this, no wonder the hobby mental health is in the crapper. True. Facts. Well, says, am I late? What did I miss? Nothing. Did we respect the shit out of the therapist yet? Not yet. All the bidders I've seen have had between 500 and 700 feedback. Not saying it wasn't shill. Doesn't seem to fit the 0 feedback shill scenario. Yeah. So part of this excuse was that he believed it was being shielded because he thought it went for too high. But it's like, well, there's certain behaviors in the bidding patterns that, again, not 100% of the time. But if you see a bunch of 0 and low feedback bidders pushing it up in little increments up to your total, then yeah, you can suspect they're shipping. But here's the thing, who cares? You agreed to pay that amount. You should have thought about that before you started, and you did this twice. Minimum, we know for sure you did this a minimum of twice where you were the high bidder and you were a non-payer. So you've acknowledged that you're a non-payer. And in reality, though, you did push the price higher. Because who knows how much the other 2 would have gone if you had not been involved, and you changed the dynamic of that bidding structure.
That's MasterNet right there.
Correct.
And people
so just remember that. That's all I'm saying. Just keep that in mind. Let's scroll through here. While Dustin and shill bidding police have a man on the inside. Man, terrible. Reason is they're all to bid early on an item? Yeah. At this point, not anymore. At this point, the first question is a legitimate one. At this point on eBay, you have no reason to bid early on an item. There's no benefit to you. Even on PWCC, there used to be a benefit because you used to have to do that to get into extended bidding. Then you could put like a token bid just to make sure you were covered. That would make sense. No, now it's no longer required. Now you can bid anytime anyway during extended. So that's been removed. Now bid whenever the hell you want. You're good.
I don't even know if there's really shill bidding. To be honest, you have to look at it. The car prices are going down. How do you shill bid and get it bring it up? Anyways, Go on. Move on.
Yep. Besides, if you're a therapist, you're shilling your cards. Facts. Allegedly. Good evening. gents. Sorry, I did not meet Eric and Bobby at the Expo. I did see CC at the Expo. Pleasure chatting with you. Absolutely. If you're the high bidder, you should pay. 100%. I agree. Hobby Champs here. Good evening. Sorry, the hobby is dead. What we'll be talking about? Politics. We'll talk about the politics of the hobby being dead. Let's compromise. Global says, good day there, my hobby brothers and Eric. Thank you, Global. Paul says, get rid of the qualifying bids on PWCC. Thought that was promotional. At the moment, so far, it hasn't come back. I don't know if that promotion will go on indefinitely. I haven't seen it come back, though. You don't have to bid. I think they got rid of it. I'm not 100%, but I think they got rid of it. Participation is required. Maybe he was just participating by shield bidding. Bottom line, he didn't want to pay. True. Good evening, gentlemen. Yep. Carlos loves talking politics. He's just shy and wants someone else to get the ball rolling. It's like, I think Paul, you might want to give this one here. This one looks like a troublemaker. You might have to bench him. You might have to bench him. He looks like a troublemaker, this one.
Maybe.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure I covered that. Also, give credit to Modest Card Collection, the individual who actually is the aggrieved party, who actually had to pay more because of this, who was very kind. All things considered, he didn't like flat out, curse out the guy, but at the end of the day, went through it, did some digging, did some investigating. Credit to him, because at the end of the day, he was the one who paid more because of this and was able to provide, the information. And like I said, he was a lot kinder than a lot of us would have been. And in the end, he agreed to a price with the seller and agreed to pay, even though, like, in reality, it could have been a situation where they should have just relisted and it would have gone for less, most likely. So it's one of those things where, credit to him. He clearly wanted the card. He was obviously willing to pay it. All the other excuses notwithstanding. But I wanted to give some credit where it was due. Now, I did want to share one more thing that was also, I did have some chats back and forth with folks on Instagram. And I want to kind of point this out since it's kind of funny. And I showed it to Eric a couple of minutes before we got started here. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can look at it. But look, this is why you get called out to the carpet when stuff like this happens. This is the biggest reason why. Because if you're a person who has a profile, you're going to get scrutinized more closely. The other part of it is, let's say on your YouTube channel podcast thing, which is also a podcast, let's say you had episodes back to back, like say episode 213, Trust in the Hobby, and episode 214, Bad Actors or Lapse in Judgment, talking about shield bidding a month ago.
I need therapy.
Yes, indeed.
I'm not in that line of work anymore. I can't help you.
But I'm just saying, do you see why this would be like perfect cannon fodder for people that look? I'm not going to blame people that are going to fire away on this. It's certainly worthy of discussion. But so let's take it away. So obviously I'm having my fun with it, but let's talk about something here. And I do want to point out two things. And we talked about this theme before. We really have. Number one, I understand that he's got some friends. They want to help. They want to try to be. Please don't do blanket defenses of this stuff. Please don't. It's like, he's trying to make good. His apology says, please shut up. Please be quiet. There's a time and a place. Now is neither the time of, because in this case, he was caught red-handed and he needed to walk away. He literally needed to, they need to walk away. You want to support him privately? Go ahead. But you need to this is not the time. You don't have to denounce the man. But trying to do public support, Eric, this is probably not the time, and this is probably not the topic when you're caught red-handed. And you did something that I think most people agree is wrong.
Yeah.
It's
Say it.
When you put a 9-minute video in, and you're sitting in your car doing a 9-minute video saying the same things over and over again, thou dost protest too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what this guy was up to. I don't, I can't say for sure. But it's not a very good look. You do have to wonder, if he didn't get called out, would he have said anything? If he came out on his own and say, hey guys, guess what? As content, hey guys, guess what? I screwed up. And this is what I'm doing to fix it. I think people would have a different reaction, possibly.
He would have done that on his next podcast.
I think it would have been, look, my advice, let's play out the scenario, real simple. If it had been a situation like that, we joked about this before. I have a clip, which probably I'll use in the year-end one, where we had Brad on here, and Brad was talking about how he's, I forget what it was. He's forgiving or something like that. I have the clip, literally, and I'll share it at the year-end video. And Eric was, and
He's not
100%. We're going to use it. It's going to be great. And then Eric is like, well, what if I did something wrong? And then literally my first words immediately out of it is, I will denounce you. I will make a multi-part series denouncing you for all to see, without question, without doubt. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one. It's a good clip for year end. But the point is this: you don't have to go quite to that extreme. I would though. Like, I'm totally denounced. Like, ooh, it'd be multi-parts. Like, all of a sudden my editing would reach another level. It's like, is this a Hollywood motion pictures? Let me tell you, the dark descent.
Truth is stranger than fiction. My God, it's like a sports card therapist, and it's just like you couldn't make it up.
It's great.
I think,
but Bobby, I also enjoyed that you did an episode talking about shill bidding a month earlier.
Yeah, go figure, right?
Like, great timing,
got
guys.
In his head, and he got influenced, and it happens. All these poor influencers. It's Mojo and all the other boys. Yeah. Okay,
I'm going to get back to Mojo. I'm going to talk about Mojo because we'll talk a little Expo. And look, I may have seen, there was a couple of Mojo sightings. And listen, I was in proximity. Mojo made his way to the AMG booth. I happened to be there during this time where Mojo recorded content at the AMG booth. Oh, nice. Yes. That video has made it onto the internets. So Will here says, who's therapist PR person? I feel like it's the same expert who has ties here. I also saw that Paul gave Will his get out of jail free tokens. I see what you're saying. All right, fine. Be that way. I get it. This is why I love Facebook group auctions. No shilling because the community backlash and bad actors get called out and put on the scammer list. Fair. That's fair. Well, as long as you have a mechanism, that's good. There's some mechanism of accountability.
Recognized, right?
Yeah, that's right. Therapist in my fantasy football league. Yes, he is. He is in second place. Isn't that how shilling works? Oh, look at you, Ham. Look at you. I see what you're doing. Good evening, Amish Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Who is shilling? Allegedly, the sports car therapist. And by allegedly means he pretty much got caught dead to rights and spent 9 minutes apologizing for it. Sort of.
In his car.
Ish, yeah.
Trying to.
Yeah. If it takes you 9 minutes, it's not a very good apology. It's just...
Well, that's the minimum for therapeutics for himself. So there you go.
Unfortunately, we're not on the clock, sir. My time is up for today. I don't have that kind of time. Get to the point. I just thought it was very. We have to talk about it off the top because obviously, it's already a million posts. There's been a lot of that. So I would say, Happy Champs, if you like, just seriously scroll back in the live right near the beginning. I start right off the top. I go through the Instagram posts, go one after another that talk about a lot of the pieces and at least lay it out. You want to go 2x speed, you'll get caught right up in a couple of minutes. We're only about 20 minutes in. Go back about 15, 20 minutes and you'll get caught right up. And if we need to talk about it more, we can, but I wanted to at least lay out the lay of the land. And look, it's not even a complicated topic. That was the fun part. It's funny, but it's not a complicated topic at all. It's like, don't bid on your own shit. Don't bid on your friend's shit on purpose with no intention of paying. Your friends have something you want to buy it, so be it. Fine, buy it. Do whatever. If it's a real purchase. That's great. I did that at Expo. When I was showing off the cards, I bought two different limited logos Medano cards. One of them was a really nice patch card. It's on my Instagram. I bought it from my buddy Steve. I've known him more than 20 years. He gave me a good price for it. He didn't give it to me for free, but we came to a deal that we agreed with. But if somebody else asked for it, they pay more. But I paid him for it, and he gave me the card. Real simple. But I'm also not reporting the comp to anybody because it would be an invalid comp because I'm getting the bro price. It's not like it would be if he posted on eBay, it would have gone for more. Period.
He's a jerk.
We'll deal with you.
I would have been on it too.
That's right. Sending me a couple makes it all the sweeter. Facts. Couple says people are happy to pay a little over comps because they don't mind supporting the person holding the auction because they're more than likely Facebook friends. That's fair. Sounds good. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Guys, you're being way too generous. There's no chance he would have come out and done this if not caught. That's basically what I said. I posed it as a form of a question. We kind of all in agreement on this. So yes, I agree with you.
It perfectly without,
yeah. I agree with you.
The roundabout way. He went right for the kill. Yeah.
Bobby, listen, I started off in the $1 Million Man cackle so that we could embrace this with professionalism. Yeah. Embrace this with professionalism. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't bet on your own shit. Don't bet on shit you own just to drive up comps. 100% right. Yeah. We talk about it. 2 basic rules. Don't bet on your own shit. And don't get your friends to bet on your shit for you. And don't bet on your friend's shit, especially if the intention, again, intent is everything. If you actually want to buy something and they have it, and you guys decide to put it in an open auction and you bid against everybody else and you win the old-fashioned way and you pay for it, whatever. Like, that's fine because you actually intended to buy and own the item.
Yeah,
then it's fair. Everybody got a shot.
I buy stuff from the shop on on eBay, and sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. I've I think I've bid on some of your stuff, Carlos, in the past. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're doing it right, there's no problem.
There is that, and I've run into this before. Is a guy gets a really nice rare piece, and you kind of really want it, but he needs to make his money on it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So then I'll bid on it because I want it. I'm willing to pay a certain price. It'll probably go higher than I'm going to pay, but I'm going to give it a shot. And sometimes you win, but usually you just can't say, "Hey, what's the best you can do on that?" And so like, dude, I got to let it go in an auction. It's fine. Like, that's fair to do. And I respect that of somebody, can't always.
I've had that conversation with folks, and they felt that they needed to let the market dictate what it was going to be. Yes, but then, okay, fine. I know. So tell me when the auction is on and I'll make my bids.
Yeah. And that's the way you got to do it. And that's just respecting the owner, everybody's your best buddy when you have the rare stuff, right? What do you want for that 64 tall boy box? Well, the last one sold for 12 years ago for what, 4,000. I'll give you 4,500. Yeah, it's about 10 grand now. Sorry, or maybe 12. Might go to 15. I don't know. So you got to put it out there, unfortunately, and you just can't chase people down. And it's a respect thing, respect among buyers. I don't know.
Yeah, but it also kind of played into, that's why I gave that other scenario where, say you're at a card show, like the example I gave, and you buy it and you do get the bro price. You guys come to an agreement. Again, real money changes hands. The card actually changes hands. It ends up in somebody's collection. To me, that's not really a valid comp because it's not playing the field the way it would normally. To me, that's not valid. I would not. What's funny though, actually, in his video, in his drawing about, he's tried talking about a bunch of stuff. He talks about how he's bought some cards, some Eli Manning cards. This whole thing is about Eli Manning cards, which makes it funnier. Whole thing is about these Eli Manning cards. And he talks about how he bought some cards in the fast offline and then submitted them to Card Ladder for the, because you can submit stuff where it's like, I bought this in person. But then he's saying like he bought it for like a really good price. And then he's like talking about it's like, yeah, I submitted these because I want the price on the Eli Met cards to come down. It's like, maybe you should stop talking. Yes. Maybe you should like say less.
He said whatever it is. Too?
Something to that effect. Yeah. Inside of that 9-minute babbling, he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? What are you even talking about? Why are you still talking?
Did he have the shovel with him? Like
he had a backhoe. He had the industrial version. He's just digging dirt on himself. I'm like, who advised you? What kind of therapist are you? Where did you get this degree?
I don't know. He needs therapy.
I need to validate these credentials. Like, seriously. Come on. Anyway, international borders here. Good evening. Worker therapist, hanky panky. I guess so. Is it just me or a lot of these derelicts have been interviewed on the Floating Heads channel?
Oops.
Allegedly. We should have who's like, I'm leaving it be. I'm leaving it be.
You didn't leave it be.
I am. Look, I already got in my cackles early.
Innuendo is everything.
That's all I'm saying. Michael Ham is apparently into professional women's hockey. Enjoy it. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but you do you, Ham. You do you. At least therapist didn't apologize on top of attractive with a religious shirt on. It could have been worse. True. I've seen that done.
Something subliminal about Michael Ham's question. That's weird. How do we get into girls' hockey? Something's going on.
There you go. Eric being silent is scaring me. It should. Well, I don't think, Eric, prior to this, did you know like the full piece of it, or did you just have the lay of the land kind of the way I laid it out? It literally fell today. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's being discussed a little bit in Clubhouse, and I have a buddy.
Was the circling of the wagons happening? Because the Clubhouse does have folks that fall in these circles.
Oh yes.
No,
together.
I wasn't in there long enough. I wasn't in there long enough to get the full conversation. I had to, as I told you, I had a mountain bike ride I was on earlier, so I missed that. But someone did send it to me earlier soon after it was posted.
Yeah.
So, and then I think he told me he sent it to you too. So I don't know.
It could be. Okay. So if it's the same person, I think it is. Yeah. Because I did get it sent over to me a couple of times, and there was some good points made. I had some good conversations, so I enjoyed it.
They have Boston in their title.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. Yes. Then I know who you're talking about. Yes. Yes, I did.
Tim. I know it.
No.
Yep. CBS just announced a female hockey league. I think they got a newer one. They had one previously, and they added a newer one that I guess merged the other two. I forget how it works, but there was one, and then there's another one, and if they
Yeah,
got TV, hey, good for them.
they they're going to be in the major cities. Boston's getting one, Toronto's getting one.
I think it's in major cities.
Yeah, so Schenectady.
Schenectady, New York.
No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
But
Hey, it's at least as legit as Worcestershire.
yeah, Guelph. Guelph's getting one because
Guelph's a real place.
female hockey fan base in Guelph. So things like that.
Okay. Good, Dave. Makes sense. Now, by the way, I was joking, having a lot of fun with Eric with this whole thing. Obviously, it was very entertaining to me. But I will say this, and we'll come back to it later on. But I did mention to Eric, and I did get a chance to mention Bobby caught the tail end of it. What's funny is that there is another thing that has made the rounds this week. Really, it fell this week. In the video,
do you mind if I just time out for a second? Because that last comment reminds me of somebody that I just wanted to. I was going to ask if he was still around because earlier today he posted a contest on his Instagram page, his YouTube channel, his Facebook, his MySpace, his Tinder account, his Grindr account,
which you happen to be on, of course.
His he's watching.
Account. I gotta look. There are follow-up questions that I have now that you brought into this conversation. Okay. Did you learn from the sports card therapist how to say too much? Is that what happened here?
Maybe.
Yeah, his Craigslist personal account, all these different things that he has. He started a contest, you understand, and he in a giveaway of an autographed card that he created with Upper Deck and the indigenous hockey players and all that stuff, and I participated in this, being trying to let my guard down, trying to an olive branch of friendship, to give him some support, and he disqualified me instantly, saying I didn't follow the rules of the contest.
Did you hit the like button?
And so everyone else is able to participate in this contest of his to get this really cool card from Upper Deck that he helped make, and instantly disqualified me. So he can suck it, and you can eat the card.
Suck it or eat it? What?
He can suck it, then eat it.
And now name can tell you your wrench. That'll be fun. Thank you, Hobby Champs. Hopefully that helped. Now you know where we are.
Whew. Talk about the news.
Thank you, Will. All in favor of names, say
is
aye.
Clubhouse still a thing, though?
It's real to Eric. That's what's important. Zach says, Carlos, why are you making us listen to this? Look, occasionally you got to suffer a little bit for us to get our entertainment for it. Like, yes. I've got mechanisms in place. That's why I was monitoring the time. If he was going to drone on for a while, like if it was going to become a sports card therapist apology video, I was going to have to pull the plug. And I have ways to do that.
He was 2/3 away there, but
he was getting there. But there was a time limit. Eric got in just under the time. Otherwise, it was like we got the mute, we got the vanishing, the disappearance, the vanish head. These things happen. I can't let frenemies enter and follow the rules. Aren't we talking about integrity in the hobby tonight? Facts, name. Facts.
That's what I say to name.
Wow. Amazing. But anyway, Bobby, what I was getting at is that you caught the tail end of it. But I'll save it for a little bit later on here. But what's funny is that I love that the sports card drama is always in relative to it's significant because the guy is in an influencer position. He's talked a big game about integrity. And again, literally the two videos that I showed you, the back-to-back, make it particularly funny, given the context and the time period and everything.
How many influencers had that fall from grace in this hobby? It's unbelievable.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Totally. Yeah. But look, but as I say, like all of this can be prevented from two folds. If the platforms did a better job with the Shill bidding thing, that'd be really great. Holding bidders accountable to actually follow through on their bids, that would resolve like 90% of the stuff. The other
I
piece
don't
of the
think
puzzle.
so. If you're shilling and it's your friend who bid on it, okay, you have to pay it. You just
Well, that's why I said
email-
90%, Bobby.
email
I'm talking about the really dumb ones who can't even coordinate with their friend. If you coordinate, you can get around all this stuff. Like, obviously, there's nothing really they can do. But for like the folks that are really lazy and they just do it in a really basic, simplistic way, simply having some real punishment mechanisms would already curtail a lot of it. But the other piece of the puzzle is, again, sniping will mitigate a lot of the damage that this can do to you as the bidder. That's something you can do to help protect yourself a little bit. Not, it won't prevent, but it'll minimize it so that people can't do it the way they would do it in the past. But the other piece is, if you're again, don't bid on your own shit. Don't ask other people to bid on your shit without the intention of actually buying it. That's it.
Do we really even have to say that? Like, honestly,
we do at this point, clearly, like, because clearly this is not understood. It doesn't get it. All it takes is you influencing the price artificially that you've created, because the whole his argument, like I said, he was trying to get around the whole shill bidding thing, going like, well, I was the high bidder, but then, I didn't pay. So then he sold it to the person underneath. And I'm like, here's the problem with that. It doesn't matter. That's not different than the fake bidder that bids to the top, finds out what the other person's maximum is, and then retracts their bid before it ends. It's the same mechanism. It's the same rule. Go ahead, Eric.
We got to put this up to a vote. We're talking about rules. Do we add them to the rules? Thou shalt not bid on one's
on your own shit. Well, how many rules are we up to now? What do we add now?
We have 6. 7 we do have the number 7.
Ooh, I like 7.
Seven's
I like
good.
that. 7's good. Eric, I don't need a vote for this. Number 7 is thou shalt not bid on your own shit. That is the number 7 rule in the hobby. Put it down.
Lucky number 11.
I like it. I like it.
That movie.
I know, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bobby and I were chatting about that briefly. It was good. It's a good one. All right, let me quickly go in here.
It's almost like this whole thing that goes down. It's almost like it's like a crime in that, how they take them into that room and they start talking to them and throwing them stuff. And it's just like, yeah, I'm guilty, but I'm really innocent. And by the end, they're crying and it's 9 minutes later and they got the handcuffs on. It's just crazy.
Yep. Well, it says these influencers' apology give me the vibes of I did not have sexual relations with that woman. There you go.
Oh,
Rick's
that worked.
Right, though. You have to do it in the voice.
Dude, I can right now. I'm super congested. I'm not even trying any voices right now.
You might be able to do it better that way.
That might be true. I might have a little bit more of that graveliness right now.
Did not have sexual relations with that woman.
There you go. Bill Clinton was from Peabody. That's what it would sound like.
And you got to have the thumb on top of the thing, and you got to move the hand like this.
Mm-hmm. Rick says, don't shill bid. Facts. Hobby Champ says, I'll never understand why these people shill bid, get caught, and they make ridiculous excuses as if we're all just dumb. Yeah.
It's added to the list.
It is on the list. It's number 7. Thank you, Eric. Keeper of the rules.
Eric, can you reiterate those rules for everyone?
Would you like to read? You want me to read all the rules?
Yes, just reiterate them. Yes, of what they've been.
Rule number 1.
Piece of paper there.
Yes. Yeah. Rule number 1, and the most important of all the rules: people are stupid.
Okay, 1 is good.
Rule number 2.
That's actually the reason we need to explain the rules occasionally. Go on.
Rule number 2. See rule number 1. Rule number 3. Corruption is rife in the hobby.
Very applicable here. Very applicable. Please continue.
Well, so is rule number 1.
Yeah, well, rule number 1's always applicable.
1 and 7 are interchangeable.
There's a lot of these rules that are applicable almost at all times. Go on.
Yes. Go on.
Number 4 is don't mess with someone who photoshops better than you.
That's very applicable a lot too. That's very
good
important.
at that. Yeah.
Eric has learned that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Number 5, Carlos lies. 5A, yes. Eric lies. 5B, Bobby lies. 5C, baseball collector lies.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that one. That's true.
Yeah, I forgot about that. True. We can keep going with a couple alphabets there.
Yeah, you
can probably keep going all the way through the alphabet. True.
Go to Roman numerals. We got
it become an Excel spreadsheet at that point. Continue.
Yeah. Number 6, and very important, thou shalt not effort.
Critical.
And our newest one, number 7, lucky number 11, thou shalt not bid on one's own shit.
I agree very well. Thank you very much.
I like right now, Bobby. I'm feeling these hobby rules. They're going well. They're going very well right now. I'm appreciating these rules.
Yeah,
they're rounding out very nicely.
You know, every time we have a big moment like today, I think we need to add a new rule.
There you go.
So we did this time.
I have written.
I think there's a couple other ones we could have added in there, but that's fine.
I have written number 8. It is ready when we are ready.
Nice. Well, Wallace says here, speaking of sketchy influencers, what's new with Curator? He's been pretty quiet. He's laid pretty low recently. I haven't heard anything particular with him. He's around, but he's laid pretty low.
Isn't he great?
Still working. I don't know.
Great.
Right now he's average curator. Right now he's average curator, mid curator. Simon, good evening, Simon.
And you
pleasure chatting with him at the expo as well.
When you name yourself, you know, Alexander the Great, great curator, all these things. Great's not so good.
Yeah. Will says, Bobby, for people with IQ in the low 80s, the rules must be repeated multiple times. That's fair, Will. That's a fair statement. So the sports car therapist guy is shill bidding? Yes. Basically, yes. Although he doesn't think it's shill bidding. Dave.
We don't call it
important.
That.
He doesn't think it's shill bidding.
We need a word for that that's not shill bidding, but it is, but it isn't. Lying? No.
Pretty much. So now we know the two different.
Maybe. Anyway,
we'll have to think of one. Chris J says, now we know the true definition of Wolfpack. Yeah. Circle the wagons, my man. Circle the wagons. Maybe he can have Master on his YouTube show. That'd be amazing.
Oh,
I would enjoy that.
Oh, I would watch that.
He could have a round table because he likes his round tables. He could have a round table panel of Mastro and Probstein.
And a couple more. We got a couple more we can add in there.
Absolutely, 100%.
I won't mention them, but you know the ones.
We got some others. Learn your rules. You better learn your rules. If you don't, you'll be here. That's right. I think he did have Probstein once, so Rick is giving him pointers before the show.
Yep.
Will liked your Bill Clinton impression, so he gives you credit for that one. If you're familiar with the schmoo,
thank you very much.
I slowly became Elvis at the tail end there. So Bob Boozle says, Carlos showed a YouTube show to catch a shill bidder. I want to see tears. Well, at this point, listen, a couple more things. It might be some tears going on. It's going to happen. That's why I only shill $10 cards. Odds of catching backlash are low. Look at you, Paul. Curator, another joker. Yeah, he's look, when we put him in the kiddie tables at the expo the one time he came down, that was fun. We stuck him in the kiddie tables. He complained a lot. He really did. If you want to go to his YouTube channel, when he went to Toronto, he had a lot of bitching and moaning. We stuck him in the kiddie tables. It was great. Rule number 1, eat spoonfuls of mayo. Hobby champs going for the throat.
No, see, that's not nice.
Here we go. Simon says, what about don't make a dealer, the buyer and seller of a card and get offended with the lowball offer. Let me see here. Don't make a dealer the buyer and seller of the card and get offended with. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
That's
I get what you're saying.
One and the same.
Not a bad rule.
It's solid. Let's give this some thought on that one. That should not take a shit on one's own shit. Settle down, Paul. Settle down, Will. Skill bidding. There you go. Let's see here. So he didn't actually bid up his own items. No. So he didn't commit the ultimate shill sin. Yes, that's misdemeanor shilling, not felony. No, that's fine. But he was trying to get around the whole shilling section of it. Regardless, he bolstered the price higher than it should have been if he had never intervened. That's really the key here. And in this case, he won the auction and didn't pay. So he's basically, well, I'm not a shill bidder. I'm a non-payer. And I'm like, you're acting like that's, look, you're acting like that's better. You're like saying that like, I didn't kill them, but I ran over the car and they were dying when I left. I'm sure somebody else finished them off. It wasn't me.
If an auction falls in the forest, does it still make? Come on.
Yeah, like the point is, you still did something you shouldn't have done, and then you're trying to make up excuse. You're playing semantics to try to get around the problem.
So would this be his first time?
He claims it. But he was caught at least twice in short order by the same person. So it's like,
exactly.
Are you sure that we can't find any other examples of this? Are you positive?
Some people might go diving.
By the way, also, I have here's a question for you. And again, I don't have
a bid.
Here's a question for you, and I don't have an answer for it. Here's a question. The piece that he used to catch them, the individual who was the aggrieved party in this case, who did their own investigation, kudos to them. Again, credit to them for doing their research and trying to figure it out. So here's my question. They were able to use the cards that he had on his eBay. And again, this investigation was done in basically the same day, effectively within this day. Both those cards were pulled from his eBay today. So I'm sitting there like, why would you suddenly pull them? Now, again, it doesn't work because number one, screenshots, and number two, when you pull the auction, even though you didn't sell it, even though the item,
Completed.
it's still incompleted. I have
Well,
those screenshots too.
What you can do, for those things is you can actually change the picture and change the title and save it and then end it, and then it'll you won't be able to find it.
Yeah, you could, but you think he was thinking that far ahead? I went and found it completed with the same picture and everything, and I have the screenshots for that too. If you're selling and say name your price, you're showing a 50% comms. Fair. I hear you. But it was like, I don't know, man. I get you. Yep. So ironic. A therapist rationalizing their shitty behavior and thinking he'll look better by doing that. Yeah. The problem is, like, look, in all seriousness, the problem was
he was for us.
Obviously. Look, it was very cathartic
That
for me.
It was for all of us, not him.
Look, I told Bobby and Eric before we started. After the show, I came down with the sickness. I was down with the sickness for a bit there. But as the week got on, I was slowly recovering. But then all this bullshit happened today. And you know what? It's like I had a sudden second wind. It was like I was healed. Not fully, but it's like, but I recovered quickly. I was like, wait, is Schadenfreude afoot? My moment has come. And I was getting very excited. Eric, I healed so fast. I suddenly felt like energy, literally the wind picked up in my sails. And I gained speed and momentum.
Crack a beer and it was like being back to normal.
Bobby, right as rain. Like I healed. You can search the seller with the completed items. It'll show. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yep.
Here's a rule that I think eBay should instill. I think this is a great idea. I just had it on the fly here. Is that if you're a non-paying bidder, it should be noted on your feedback.
Agreed. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where the platform should be doing something like that.
And then people go, oh, okay.
But that's why I'm saying that I think eBay. This again, we've got a million things we would critique eBay for.
Sure.
But like, truthfully,
bid retractions and non-paying bidders. Those two.
Yes, there should be a thing where, like, look, if it's clear that this is a regular behavior for you, you need a suspension of the account at the minimum. Like, first real offense, suspension.
3.
Yeah.
No,
second one, longer suspension. Third one, your account's done. And you gotta you gotta put the hammer down. And doing that would discourage folks from playing around with this. And even more so, I would say, if you're a low feedback bidder who's never completed a real transaction and you pull that kind of shit, I would have a zero tolerance policy at that point. Because I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a break. Because why? You're a zero tolerance bidder. Why are you bidding on really expensive stuff and playing silly games? Like, there's got to be a little bit of someone looking at the file and making an assessment based on what's going on.
I think an algorithmic thing, whereas, there's a person who bids on your stuff all the time but never wins.
Yes,
they're
exactly.
Always in every auction. You can kind of go, okay, why does they have 47 bids in the last 10 auctions I had, and he's never won?
Yeah, well, that's where. So what you're basically saying, Bobby, is not dissimilar to what YouTube does. What if you set up a thing where if you see a certain pattern with an account, it flags your account, and then somebody goes in and takes a look and go, "What the hell are you doing?"
And then they can answer a question. Yeah, look into it.
Correct. Sure. Exactly. Just by having the red flag system, somebody from eBay, they don't have to search everybody's accounts, but if you see a red flag, they get a report and say, "Hey, what's going on?"
Sure.
You go look and go, "Hey, what's going on with this?" Explain yourself.
Those are
and if the behavior
that I think
continues, then you got a problem.
That would eliminate a lot of that stuff because people don't want people looking into stuff.
So I don't know if you guys can see this, but my one of my clubhouse buddies has posted this. I don't know if you can read it because it gets backwards, but
megabid these nuts. Going for it. There you go. Megabid these nuts.
Yeah.
Very high caliber folk you have there, Eric. High caliber folk. So let me read it.
It's hashtag megabid these nuts in your mouth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I missed the tail end of that, but makes sense.
I think my friend may have
the literal tail end.
Some issues with this man.
All right. So here, CC says, curious, how much was his winning bid? So on the Eli Gold Prizm, so there were two cards. One of them was a 2013 Prizm, Eli Gold Prizm, PSA 10. And his bid was $1,852, and the underbid was $1,827. So it was one increment, but we're up in the $1,800 category.
So it wasn't a $200 card or something.
No, it wasn't a small item.
Yeah. Well,
Good idea.
why
Automatic
risk the
negative
small
feedback for
items,
not
right?
paying. That would be my preference, Dave. Honestly, I would love to have it. But even if you don't want to do automatic negative feedback, I like the red flag idea. I like the idea of the system being able to pick up behaviors consistent with shill bidding and that kind of thing. And if you get your account gets flagged, somebody goes and looks at it and questions you. And like poses. And if it becomes clear that you're doing this on a regular, you're done.
Suspension. Yeah.
Yep. And you could go as far as suspending the IP address that this is coming from and be like, if you got multiple accounts, those are done too.
Yeah, but you can get around that. I really think that, you
You
can only get so many accounts on eBay. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that easy to get another account, although I have one at least.
Zach here says, if you get banned from selling, they go through great measures to keep you from creating another account. They could do the same thing for shill bidders if they wanted to. eBay doesn't care. That's always been the key issue. eBay as a platform is the responsibility to me is still the same, that eBay should take a bigger role in this. That's the key thing.
And it's not
We
even
have
a
the same
hard
discussion.
role. It's an algorithm. It's, a little
The thing
bit
is, they like the idea. Look, eBay will never admit to this, but they know that the odd shill bidder here driving up the price means more fees.
profit. Yes.
It is more profitable for them.
Funny for
So
them, yeah.
They are
that's why they
publicly
started
traded
that
company. Remember that.
That's
guys.
why they started masking the bid histories, so you could see the feedback, but you couldn't really read. Before, you could read all the usernames and you knew who everybody was.
So what was the impetus of that then?
Oh, they claimed it was a privacy issue. It was like, no, it wasn't a privacy issue.
Privacy.
That's what they claimed at the time. Yeah.
Well, actually, I kind of like that they did that, but then I kind of hated it because then I couldn't see some of the other things. So,
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's catch-22 on that one.
Been having the same discussion since 2005. I would say even before that. Sorry, fellas, my mega bid was too big. Shame.
It's too bad.
Real Crime is thinking any Eli Manning card is worth 1,800. I get what you're saying.
True.
He is 2-0 against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, though.
Yeah.
I believe that
1,800?
eBay hiding the bidder ID does more harm to the hobby than good. I agree.
Well, it wasn't really 1,800, right? So, anyways, just saying.
Well, the bidder underneath went to at least 1827. So,
Yeah, but
was
a
pretty
few of those bids probably never counted.
oh yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
How many of those bids were his fudge numbers there?
I have no idea. I'd have to try to find the card.
Because
We saw a little bit of
he
the.
bid incrementally, like some 1,400, 15 somewhere up along the way. Then you are driving. That's actually worse than just one at the top, because usually the third person down is your equalizer, right? So if he's like in at 12, 14, 16, 18, he keeps driving it up and then bouncing back past people, and there's only two people involved, then that's quite a bit. That's driving people up to put $500, $600, $700. That's sizable.
Yeah, I think the excuse was that he was claiming that he thought it was being shill bid because he put in an early bid high and then couldn't grasp that other people bid up to it. And the problem was the underbidder actually wanted to buy it. So they bid to try to win it. So they were trying to actually win it. So they bid that high because they actually wanted the damn card. And in the end, they ended up paying basically right up near the top of the amount because they literally wanted that card. And then it's on their Instagram because they bought it and they only had to pay the full price. Base Wemby Allen Ginter's going for over 300 in PSA today. Sheer lunacy. Hobby Champ says, welcome to hobby. Facts.
Well, you guys have all heard. We can talk about this. You heard about the whole Wemby controversy card this week, right?
Yeah, the 1-of-1 going into the other. I actually, believe it or not, I have that on my list.
Okay.
But yeah, we can transition into that.
We don't have to attack it now. We can keep going. But I just that.
Well, no. So let me ask the chat. Since it's a valid question point. So, like I said, the whole sports card therapist thing is very cut and dry to me. It was an action that to me qualifies under the broad definition of shill bidding, even if it's not a traditional definition. To me, you still affected the price artificially. You should have paid for it. Your bid, you made the bid. To me, I remember the old eBay verbiage. eBay used to warn you and tell you that a bid was a binding contract, and they tried to make it sound so serious.
Right.
To me, it should be like if you bid on it, buy it, pay the thing. If you overpay once in a while because you screwed up, then your bid shouldn't have been that high. And if somebody outbids you and it's a fake bid, well, then the person has to relist it and then lower your maximum bid next time. To me, it's your fault if you went too high because you said, oh, well, I want to win at all costs. Well, you did. Oh, but I shouldn't have paid that high. That's not my problem. You should have put a lower number then.
I've screwed up over the years and I quickly, I was too quick with the gun and, didn't look at the back of the card picture that's all torn up because the front looks nice. And I put a bid in that, because I really wanted to win that was higher. I've got, I've jumped and not done my due diligence when I wanted O-Pee-Chee, but I bought Tops. You have to just suck it up. You screwed up.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It happens. Don't make a mistake again. That's it.
And
it's simple enough.
I've learned from every mistake I've made in the hobby, and I've rarely made the same mistake twice. Never for 3 times.
There you go. So obviously it was a twist. The seller was the actual shill bidder, bidding up Rob's bid until he wanted a price he wasn't comfortable paying because it seemed shilled. It would be funny. Still wouldn't change the issue. Still wouldn't change the underlying issue. It would add another layer to it, though. It'd be kind of fun. But like I said, either way, it was one series of dumb things after another. Again, all avoidable if you just snipe the damn thing. Pick a price you can live with and snipe it. That's it. That's why I say, like, this topic, we can have fun with it. There's a lot of room we can go, but in reality, it's very cut and dry. And it's also somebody trying to excuse themselves without trying to excuse themselves. That's what made it more fun than if it had been just some rando. But this shit happens all the time. But obviously, since it's somebody who's built a platform in the hobby, it gave it more legs than it would have otherwise have had. That's the reason it was worth. So what I'll say is, let me present it to the chat. I actually don't mind talking about the Wemby thing for a couple of minutes. Again, it's a straightforward topic as well, but we can talk about that for a couple of minutes, unless there's something else with the therapist thing you guys want to touch on. To me, it's pretty cut and dry beyond what we've talked about. If there's something else we can touch on.
It's been around for what, 15, 20 years? Like, why? Why are people not using that?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, and there's a bunch of options there.
But shilling can still happen, obviously. But at the end,
it does mitigate it though. It prevents one way of shilling, which is you made a bid and then people like chip their way up to your maximum. It can't be done if you snipe. They don't have the luxury because it's in the last couple of seconds. You don't have enough time. You can't pull it off.
No.
So that's kind of my thought about that.
Well, I get mine down to about 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's about
3
right.
seconds I've lost. It kind of went wanky on me and it didn't get a bid in. I went, okay, I'm not doing that again.
So Eric, basically, I'll quickly touch on it, but high level, and then you can share some thought with it. Here you go. So is Eric still in the wolf pack, or I don't know if Eric could be allowed in anybody's wolf pack?
He's the single wolf pack.
Yeah, he's the one they send out into the wilderness by himself.
Yeah.
The topic's entertaining. Fair enough, Bob. Okay, so let's switch over to the Wemby thing for a second. Okay, so look, high level. The Webayama, 1 of 1, ended up in the wrong product. I don't remember which one it's a basketball thing, so I don't remember which one of the two. But regardless, the pack that it came out of is not the pack that it should have come out of. It is the wrong 1 of 1 for the product that was being pulled.
So just to sum it up more, it's the biggest card of the year for that company. It was supposed to be in their highest ended product, and instead it somehow ended up in a pack of their cheapest stuff.
So that means they're guilty of repacking.
So real quick, high level. We can talk about this a little bit, but just so we're clear, it's in the same factory.
Yeah.
So the idea that so it's like if you print it in the same place, you can put it in the wrong pack. We literally had this is months ago now. Do you guys remember? I don't remember the product, so forgive me. I don't remember the specifics. But do you remember that there was a whole thing a little while ago? This is months ago now, where it's like, wait a minute, it was either Panini cards in a Topps pack or Topps cards in a Panini pack or something like that. But again, it's in the same factory. So I'm like, all of these things are possible. You ending up, it shouldn't be. Obviously, as a 1 of 1, there should be stricter controls, making sure that it ends up in the right place. But it's totally plausible within the context of these people are probably getting paid nothing.
Minimum wage.
They don't care.
No.
They don't care. Like, yeah, whatever, throw it in the batch. And
or
everything's plausible.
Or they could have just intentionally done it and taken it from there and went,
I get.
I'll show.
Look, certainly possible. I honestly think. Remember that the saying we talked about: "Do not put to malice what can be adequately explained by stupidity."
Oh yes,
that's kind of my take on a lot of these. I'm like, I really don't think they're either A, smart enough or dumb enough to be doing it intentionally. Because look, let me put it this way: even if you want to say publicity stunt, how many publicity stunts before it actually is detrimental?
No,
where it's actually a bad thing. It's like,
hold on. It already is, because no one's buying that high end stuff looking for it anymore. It's done. It killed the product.
Yeah. That doesn't actually help.
Low end stuff now. And
yeah, buy more of the low end stuff. I don't know if that's helpful. So thank you, Simon, for the specifics. So I was like, all right, sounds fair. Eric always jumps the gun early. Oh, look at Will going for it. I'm sure to listen to Carlos pronounce Panini. You want to spell it phonetically? I'll still say it however I want, but go for it. But yeah, to me, it's like if it's in the same factory, almost every scenario, almost every version is possible. Like honestly, I look. You can put tops. You look. Talk to me when you open up your basketball cards and you start getting some Mike Trout Nebulas.
Yeah,
plausible.
I mean,
it's possible.
There's no way the company did this on purpose. It was either a complete accident or it was sabotaged by an employee. There's
I wouldn't put it past them to do something silly like that because news, right? News, good news, bad news, makes stuff sell. And there's nothing.
How many times though, Bobby? There was the duplicate one of ones. There was this one of one. Like there's been so many recently. It's like, okay, you want to do it intentionally a couple of times to get attention. Sure. After a while, it's a boy who cried wolf. Oh, these idiots. Whatever.
It's happening more and more and more. I don't think 2 weeks go by without us hearing a story about how these new products, these high-end products, people spending thousands of dollars, and there's a major issue, whether it be 2 one-of-ones, whether it be the wrong sport in the wrong product, the high-end stuff and the low-end stuff. It's constant, and
it almost can't happen really because production runs aren't equal at the same time. Like sliding a specialty card in, that can happen, but very rarely. The production runs have to be, even in the same plant, they're run at different times. So once the package done, that stuff's put away and moving on. I think it's benevolence more than anything. Yeah, then stupidity comes into that thing too. So yeah, you never know. True enough. But hey, disgruntled employees are everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's true. I happen to be one of the show, so I can relate.
Gotcha.
You know what would make you feel better though? If more people hit the like button.
No,
I think that would help you.
Yeah,
I think that would make you feel a lot better.
No, I don't think it would because there's not.
Push it 3 times. Yes, no, and yes.
Nope. Pretty sure there's nothing here to like.
Oh, but I'm sure that's what happened. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, we got more news. Don't worry. This is good. Let's keep rolling.
Sorry, I'm not up to date in this Wemby issue. Was the one of one actually pulled? Yes, it was.
I'm prejudiced. I get it. I collect vintage, sports cards. I get that. I just have such a hard time understanding why people are willing to pay these unbelievable prices for packs and or boxes and or cases when these issues continue to happen on a weekly to bi-weekly basis. We control the market, not them. If they want to sell a box for $5,000 and we refuse to pay it, the price will come down. And yet there are people out there running with their credit cards in the air to purchase these things, and they're getting screwed, whether it be that these boxes are you cost thousands, and the card market obviously has dropped over the last couple of years, and you're spending $1,500 on a box and you're getting $500 worth of product. Yet people continue to do this, which goes to rule number 1 and then rule number 2, of course. But not only is it a financial thing that I've never been able to understand, now with continuous weekly to bi-weekly issues within these card companies, how are the people with the credit cards in the air trusting what they're buying? I don't know how you could have faith and trust in the industry anymore, especially at such high levels of cost.
I think someone should start a podcast with therapy for that.
That'll fix it, right?
Yeah.
So here is the video. There was a couple different places, so that's the card right there.
What?
There you go.
What?
Yep.
I don't know.
Wrong card, wrong product.
Or nay. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That it's on tape is unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing is that's where we're at now. I think that's the biggest difference. So the question here, Zach goes, why is this suddenly a problem the last couple of years? Well, part of it is that we can see it now. So he says, has production ramped up that much they can't keep up with where cards are going? I think people keep forgetting, and like I said, I mentioned it. They keep forgetting that it's the same fact. It's the same suppliers that are doing that for Upper Deck, for Fanatics, and for Pan EB. I'll pronounce it like 5 different ways just for the guys, just so they can have their fun. We should come up with a bunch of ways, Eric. We should all pronounce it differently.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Panini. What do you got?
Panini.
Nice. He's got Panini.
That breaker must have been shitting himself because he's sitting there going, oh my God, is this going to make me look bad or good? I don't even know. So it's like, yeah, it wasn't me, but it's cool. But no, but yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
There we go. So, yeah. So honestly, part of the answer, seriously, is that we pay more attention to it. That's part of it. But the other part of it is that since these suppliers, like the companies are trying to increase their profit margin, part of that is they just go cheaper and cheaper and cheaper with the suppliers. They don't care. Like, they don't care at all. Like, it's just like, yeah, whatever. And here's the thing, even if they make a mistake, what are they going to do? Oh, yeah, we're sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
We'll work on it. That's it.
Yeah.
And then move on with the day.
But
that's it.
That gets back to Eric's number 1 and 2 rule, right? It's like, well, it keeps happening and people keep still buying.
And for the person, and by the way, for the person who buys a single, do you think they give a crap?
No.
So the person who wants that victory, so that card was pulled out of the wrong pack and everything, right? Fine. Okay. I'm with you. I get it. But what happens with the person? So then it goes on eBay or wherever, or Golden or wherever platform it goes on, and then it sells for whatever it sells. Do you think the person who bought the card on the other end of it and gets the card they want gives a shit where it came out of?
No, of course not.
They don't care in the least. Like whatever, man. It can be part of the lore of the card, but I still got the card I wanted that I paid for, and then the seller gets to make the money and they're thrilled and like whatever.
I think that's a lore group lot, really, because you want all of those cards, and this is the video that went with it. You can almost NFT it for whatever it's worth, right? God damn. Wouldn't you want all of them together because this was a significant moment in stupidity?
And you've got it on, and you've got the footage because I just showed, like I said, for example, we've got the footage, and you can see you actually have, believe it or not, you actually have provenance in this case of exactly where the card came from. You can have that video and you can download it, and there you go. You got it. Make it an NFT and you're good to go. Rock Latex says, you just read the hobby rules, Eric. It's rule number 1. That's facts. Hobby Champ says, ask me if I'm dropping major coin on Logoless, Alan Ginter, and Draft Picks products. There you go. It's observation bias. It's always been bad. Yeah. The quality assurance, like if you go back, again, the problem is with the internet now, we can see everything. We can see video. I was able to pull it up on an Instagram, the video of the card that you were talking about. I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. That wasn't a thing. We could talk about it, but I wouldn't have been able to, I probably wouldn't have been able to show you. In this case, I could show you. I could literally pull it up. So we got a couple pronunciations. Bob Jackson's got a few. Thank you, Bob Jackson. Appreciate you. On the ball.
Can you pronounce it in Italian?
Algorithm. As number of products have gone up over the last 10 years, quality control has plummeted. Quality control has always been a little bit bad. But more products will cause greater numbers of the examples to come to the market. Speaking of collectors, just over here writing a article. By the way, I will not listen to any of you. I just pronounced it correctly.
Yes.
You've all been fucking getting it wrong forever. That's canon. Article. And searching eBay for welfare fraud cards. Love it. Thank you, Paul.
Bobby knows better than anybody that, the hobby industry and their care and concern for the product has been lacking from day one. The difference, of course, in the quality and control was at one point cards were there, and we all know this, of course, already, but cards were there to help promote tobacco and bubblegum and other products, where now they are the main product.
There's no more gum in the last 20-something years, right? So.
You would think,
and in fairness, the gum was shitty before, too.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. I always loved it. I don't know why everyone says that.
You like powder and chalk.
Now that the cards are the main product, unlike the past, the quality and control would be better. you know, when they were the second item in the pack, you know what I mean? By business wise, they didn't care. They didn't care if the pictures were crooked. They didn't care if they were cut right. They didn't care. Okay, I get that. Why don't they care now? That's what I don't understand. This is what they're making their money off. Topps is no longer making money off bubblegum. They're making the you know, the name, the product, the company is making its name on cards. Maybe that should be a priority, and your quality control should be much better. As an example, any
Foolishness, nonsense.
any
Rule number one overrides all that.
Whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me anymore that these things happen.
Shocking.
So often, you know, once a year, once every couple of years, the wrong thing ends up someplace. You go, okay, I get it, but it dumbfounds me.
Hobby Champ says, have people forgotten about Favre's dealings yet? Nay. It's a feature. He's not a swell fellow. What are you going to do?
Not a swell fellow. Hell of
every
a
card was
fellow. Hell of a photographer.
If every card was gem meant, it wouldn't be special. So they can keep the QB low for all I care. The QC low for all I care. There you go, Paul. Look at you. Speaking of quarterbacks for a second, let me kind of shift over the conversation for a moment. And if there's anything else for the Wemby, like the general gist of it is the quality assurance should be better. It isn't. They don't care. That's really, again, it's another story where we can talk about it for a while, but that's the reality of it. I think the companies have to keep looking forward to the next product. No time for postmortem. It's a shame. That's probably fair, Bob. That's probably fair. Let me ask a question, though. Speaking of quarterbacks, obviously the Thursday nighter, one of the big things coming out of it is Hobby Darling Joe Burrow. He's out. I think he's out for the rest of the season, I think, officially, as a result of the injury. I want to say it was like a tendon injury or something. That's kind of a big problem for a lot of it with the folks that were holding the cards, because it looked like he was winding back into form. He was playing well. And this year, we talk about it on the podcast at the beginning of the week. It has been all over the place with week by week and how all this has gone on. And all of a sudden, Joe Burrow's out. So Cincinnati is now all of a sudden in a wreck. Nobody's really, I guess the Chiefs are the prohibitive favorite, ? And everybody else is kind of in this weird limbo where anybody who's in contention could wind up wherever. I think it's kind of weird. This has been a very strange NFL season. Anybody have any thoughts on the Joe Burrow injury and how the rest of this NFL season is broken up so far?
Yeah, it's interesting how the cards get affected greatly for their careers going onward in a major sense, not a minor sense. You know, that always happened even since the 90s, but in a smaller sense. Now it's like, he got a hat trick. Oh gosh, watch out. Matthews got 3 hat tricks. Oh, watch out. He's going. I got to buy his card before it gets too high or something.
I think one thing, so speaking of the Matthews thing, and I'm using the Burrow as an example because obviously it's one of the bigger names they've got going on right now. But the thing with the Matthews thing is at least Matthews has put up enough of a body of work forget about the Leafs, forget about the playoffs thing. They're looking at him with the amount of goals he's scored and the amount of games he's played. And right now he's among elite company. So that's good for him. And for his hobby, that kind of stuff is helpful.
Yes. Plus minus suck. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so does Ovechkin's. I don't think anybody cares if he scored enough goals.
It doesn't matter about him anymore. That wouldn't even affect me. But, going forward, Matthews is whatever.
Yeah. Hobby Chap says, I'm a Bills fan. I want to stick my head in the freezer. Understandable. I get what you're saying.
I hate the Bills now. I hate
now Bills. Specifically.
Well, we felt sorry for them for so many years.
No, I was gonna say why.
because of
it's because of the Zubaz pants, isn't it? It's the Zubaz pants.
No, it's from me getting stuck on the border for an hour last Monday for the Monday night game. So the Bills and all their Bills fans can go eat a bag full. I am just sick of them. Wow. I cannot believe I had to sit on the Rainbow Bridge for an hour because all those Canadians coming across the border, who are faux Bills fans. You have a football league. You have a football team.
You don't acknowledge the football league or the football team.
Yeah.
Stay on your side.
Make up your mind.
Stay on your side of the border.
Buffalo is a Canadian protectorate state, Eric. You were still in Canada, so shut your pie hole.
It gave you time to make up excuses of why you're coming to Canada.
Exactly. Don't lie to the people. Get out of here.
Should I say no?
Bag full of crumble. You didn't bring any for the rest of us? I know. You could have been eating crumble if you were so stuck. You had enough time to order crumble.
Yeah, I was gonna.
You could have said fourth car on the left.
I should have had some delivered.
I could have had. I was there for an hour. It was horrible.
It's just
a whole hour. My God. Ooh, terrible. Tragic. Even. You could have been watching the football game. You know.
I fell asleep for an hour last night. You know, whatever.
I had from that point on, I had an 8-hour drive. I spent an hour of it there. So now an 8-hour drive.
Then you park and relax. There you go. And then you
could have taken a nap for an hour.
Well, actually,
sounds like a man of excuses.
You went to the falls first, so you were right there.
That's where I sat.
Yeah.
When I tried to after we enjoyed the beautiful day in the falls and walked around a bit. I said, all right, well, it's time to head home. And we just sat.
Yeah.
Devastating.
And it was
just
all
terrible.
That's what you get for the Horseshoe Falls.
Bills fans. You can suck it.
They do.
I see. So here's a question. Let me pose this question to the chat. Since Hobby Champs volunteered about the Bills fan thing, my condolences. So two things. I've got a couple of options. One is we can touch on a little bit of football since we're talking about it right now. Second thing is we can talk about Leaf being sold, which is kind of interesting. Or third, we can let Eric and Bobby regale us a little bit of some Fall Expo thoughts, experiences, comments. I want to leave it open. Leave anybody. I did put Fall Expo post-mortem, but we've had enough fun with the curator, Wemby. We've had a lot of different things we've touched on here. So where do you guys want to go next?
Weren't they getting into it too? Something?
What's that?
Wasn't there something on Mojo too?
Well, that'll be the Fall Expo talk. So in referring to Fall Expo, that'll be part of the stories for that for sure.
So we should save that till the end and then go through a little bit of football.
That's fine.
And I'll take a break on that, and then we'll follow up with the Expo and whatever else you think is good.
Mm-hmm. Should have waited for Leafs game in Buffalo to traverse the border. I know, obviously.
Yeah.
Zach says, I try to be nice to Eric. I don't know why. But comparing the CFL and NFL is a joke. I know.
I wasn't comparing them. I just said that you people have your own league.
You people. See, that's
wow.
what got Don Cherry in trouble.
Mm-hmm. It's this you people business that got Bill Russell to denounce you for many decades. Eric?
Yes.
What do you have to say for yourself, Eric? Go ahead, explain yourself. Explain away. Continue. Go, keep talking. You're doing great. You are totally explaining yourself. It's fantastic. Ask the great curator how to talk your way out of this one. Moving on. Dave says, Burrow out, Watson out. Murray missed half the year. I'm going to spend all my money on Sam Howell and Ritter. Oh, man. I know a guy who has some Ritter he might want to get rid of if you want some, Dave. I know a guy. He spent $400K so far on a hobby megastar out in Atlanta.
Shit.
Actually, that's a good one. I even forgot.
That's another story.
Hold on. I want to touch on that in a second.
Oh.
The CFL won't cut it, Eric. We have our football team, the Bills, Buffalo, any sport ever won anything. That's why we cheer for Buffalo. There you go. Good stuff. All right, hold on. I actually want to traverse this over for a second.
Okay.
We can touch some football here and there. But since Dave brought up the whole thing with Ritter, I don't know if you all watched the Jeff Wilson show or watched any of those ones, but you guys do know that. So obviously I've enjoyed the podcasts and all the videos that have come out of it. But he talked about in the last one spending $400,000 on inventory for the store. Now, as he's kept talking, I'll quickly touch on a couple of points and then I'll get my refill. But I cut some thoughts for discussion here. So he's talking about spending the $400K for inventory. They need a lot of inventory. Given the size of the store and everything, they need a ton, including wax boxes, all that stuff. They need a ton of it. But the way he's talking, after more listening to him, he's basically alluding to not having the sweetheart deal for the wax that we all were expecting in the first place. Either he's playing coy or he's denying having it. One of two things. Playing coy is stupid because we all assume you had a sweetheart deal. And if you don't have a sweetheart deal, then what the hell are you opening a 14,000 square foot store that's going to rely on boxes so damn much? That's going to be ridiculously expensive. Your overhead is off the charts and you're adding an expense. Buying wax is very expensive. And I'll share a story about the Fall Expo thing. But it plays into this concept a little bit with the AMG as an example. The distributor model is broken. If you have to rely on distribution through the distributors to get your boxes, This store's dead in the water with all the overhead. You're dead. Dead. So it's like, this is sounding like a worse and worse deal. Like, look, I was assuming you were crazy. I wasn't assuming you were stupid. Like, there's a distinction. Crazy is crazy. Stupid is trying to do it with a distributor model, not having your stuff already locked in. You should already have that locked down before you even agreed to 14,000 square feet. That's just me. That's my thought, my opinion. But I'm like, the more I listen to the man talk, it's the therapist thing all over again. The more you talk, the more I think you're nuts. If you had said just a couple of words, all right, he's good luck. But the more he talks, I'm like, wait, what? You're claiming you don't have a sweetheart deal with Fanatics and with Fanatics Overlords and the whole. What are you doing?
2021's coming back, right?
Yeah,
it's so stupid. Figured Leaf was in the process with Brian Ellis' retirement. Yeah, we knew Brian Gray, old BG, was up to something. We were just like, okay, so when's the other shoe dropping? When's it coming? I think we were interested in seeing what happened with it. So I agree, Dave.
He was at that Thursday night dinner I was at with a lot of people. I didn't get a chance to talk.
Oh, BG? So he actually did. So he did come up.
He was at the dinner.
I'm surprised I didn't hear about him on the show floor at all. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't all that close to him, but from across the room, it looked like him, and people were saying it was him, and I didn't go up and talk to him, so I'm 90% sure it was him.
90%? What part of his body did you think it was?
Yeah. Bob Boozle here is saying breaking boxes is a core part of his business. That's really key to the point. 100%. I agree with this. That's why I'm making a key to this. They've made so much about the breaking stations. They've made so much about it. They need a ton. Forget everything else. We're not trying to scrutinize every aspect of the business because we don't know what the books are. I don't care about that. I'm just being logical with what we understand with what the whole premise is. They've got all these breaking pods. They're supposedly going to be able to do all this live breaking, right? That's part of the whole store design. They went through so much emphasis on it, which means you're going to need a crap ton of boxes. You need a crap ton of boxes. So you shouldn't be relying on distribution and the allocation limitations that creates, let alone the secondary market. You're buying these boxes in the secondary market. They're way too high. Oh, yeah. Like, you're screwed. Like, you cannot open enough boxes at an inflated rate to actually make any real money on that. You need a sweetheart deal. You literally need you went to Fanatics Overlords, personally went to Michael Rubin and go, hey, dude, bro price? I'll take a ton, bro price.
No.
Yeah. Like, it's got to be a deal like that. That's the only way it makes any sense. Otherwise, it's foolishness.
He has to have a deal. And, there's also, he's going to do Pokemon and all the other stuff too. I think because he went over and visited the Pokemon, where is it? Japan, was he? And he went and seen the store, and he was really amazed by that. So I think a lot.
Yeah, with the display with the cards. Yeah, which I look, that part I think is fine. I don't have an issue with that because I think that's actually a good way of displaying the cards. I agree. Look, I'm not saying he didn't take some good ideas and borrow them, but I'm saying I'm listening to what he's saying. He's describing the business as being so breaking box heavy. You better have that side of it figured out, because that is a lot of cash drain on this operation. You need to have that figured out, let alone security, let alone staffing, let alone all these other problems you're going to have. So Bob Bulls was saying, don't have guaranteed boxes. And the therapist, look, we're taking him at face value based on what he's saying. If he's lying, I don't know why you're lying, because we all assumed you had some kind of a deal. And if you don't have a deal, then you're an idiot. That's really easy. Like, again, cut and dry, very simple. Nobody ever said Jeff made good choices. Clearly not. Jeff losing $1 million or so makes the hobby pull a DiBiase. Yes, I agree with that. Look, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. But when we were talking about it, I took it at face value. But I said, look, I don't care if this succeeds or not. I don't have a stake in it. It's good content for me. I'll talk about it, no doubt. But at the end of the day, if you're being serious, then you need every advantage you can get. I would be pulling on every string that I've got. People talk about the whole good old boy network. I'm using every connection I got to get all the hookups that I can and get every slight edge that I've got compared to my competition, because I need it. I need it all because I've decided to go this ambitious route. Then I need discounts on everything, and I need it in volume, because that's the only way it's going to make any sense in the long run. That's just me.
It's such a large business to keep running constantly. That's a hustle.
It's so money heavy up front. Look,
With it.
Brad came on and talked about this in the past for the AMG side in the
Oh
past,
yeah.
and how much money they have to put up ahead of time to buy all the cases. And again, this is a single card shop out in Atlanta, Canada. So
Yeah.
way smaller potatoes than what we're talking about, but their costs are also lesser. They were able to get a good deal in the space they're in, but they also understand that that means they have to buy product they don't want because they're under the distributor model. If you're this kind of store and you're trying to get so much more stuff, you need as many advantages you can get. It's nonsense if you're telling me you don't have any. So Dave here is saying the same thing. If he doesn't have a deal for that product, he's not very smart. I believe he has a deal. I'm assuming he has to have a deal. Otherwise, he is an idiot. There's no nicer way to put it. You better be lying. You better be flat out lying, and you've got some kind of a deal in the background, because otherwise it's nonsense. It makes no sense. Also, I'm used to seeing people with large collections opening shops. True. Sports Car Radio did some wild math. They estimated his rent 40K and payroll 42. I'm not sure if he bought that building though. So there's two parts. I did hear a little bit of their napkin math they came up with. I think it makes sense to a certain degree. One thing I'll add though that I don't think they factored in, which I think is part of the math too, is that he is putting a studio in there, studio and offices as part of the 14,000. Which is to say, then most likely, again, I'm guessing based on what he's saying, if that's true, you get to remove a lease from your expenses. Because if you're putting your staff in the offices in there, and then also doing the studio stuff in there, you actually get consolidated into a space, and that actually saves you some money on the one end, which helps you on the back end.
So funny enough, he'll probably the front of the office or business will probably only have about 200 square feet of carts.
I think it's going to be more than that, but what I'm saying though,
that's how he can keep on top of things. He doesn't need.
But what I'm saying though is by having some offices and the studio piece, you are taking some of the operation and actually consolidating, because then you're not paying the lease on the other space, so that can save you some money, which can help with this. But again, it's still cash heavy. You're throwing money into a pit, and it just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wouldn't buy a building opposed to rent. But anyways, or lease.
I don't know if he wants to put that much into it.
Jeff made a post on right?
True. At least the real estate would hold some value. Jeff made a post on IG saying he'd hold on to Volpe debut RPA rather than the 150K bounty. Dude has an 81 OPS. That's an advanced metric I can get behind. Looking forward to the exciting first week of Card HQ breaks from 1990 tops to 1990 Yes, let's go. Eric, I'm in for a pack. How about you?
7.
Ooh, big spender.
Yep.
He says he spent 415K on inventory, about 4 million more to go for the size of that store. Could have 400K last night in Heritage just with a few show pieces. Well, he claims that a lot of the stuff he's buying is not high-end stuff. It's to fill in like more normal pricing, $50 to $100 cards, which means that at least be a modest amount of inventory. I have no idea. Good luck. Good luck to them. Anyone see the Nashville card show Jeff video? Spent a lot of money on frankly garbage card. Yes. If you watch that video, he flat out overspent. For somebody who needs margin, like if you're going to buy volume, you need margin. You really do. You 100% need margin. I'm like,
but he's going to talk about all these cards going up.
Exactly. As a Jeff never actually lose money. They just write off the losses. That and his wife loaded. Yeah, fucking loaded. He'll be fine regardless. I don't think it'll be an issue in that way, but it's let me throw this back at you. I don't disagree with what Hobby Champ's saying. I don't disagree, but I'm gonna throw this back at you. You have that in your back pocket as a way of resolving it can cure a lot of illnesses for you, a lot of ills. But wouldn't it make more sense to at least function it, not even intelligently? How about with average intelligence? Give yourself at least a shot of succeeding. And then if it doesn't work out, you write off the losses. You still got it in your back pocket. It's still there. But why don't you be serious and actually try to be profitable? It would actually make I wouldn't have gone to 14,000 square feet. But again, if you're adding a studio and doing all this other shit, sure. You're trying to do like a 24/7 thing where you're selling cards constantly out of the store, potentially. That means you need staffing for basically 3 shifts.
And I wouldn't.
You're going to have a graveyard shift. Yeah. Like who's going to volunteer for the graveyard shift at the Atlanta Card HQ?
Well, Eric? How many big shows come out of Atlanta?
Yeah, I'll take
you got the Culture Collision. You got the Culture Collision. I guess that's the one.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Forgot about that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just
maybe pulls on people's callers and sees if he can get himself a national down the road. They were in the running at least for this last one.
True.
They were in that final 3. They didn't win, obviously, but
but now they will, because hey,
maybe he's going to need it. But my point here is that Hobby Champ's point is fair. I don't disagree with him, But the only thing I would throw out though is, look, you've already done this foolish thing. To me, like, it was crazy to begin with, but if you had got the back end deals worked out, you could be crazy like a fox. There is a way that you could make this at least work out for you. And you do have the platform that's going to help. You do have the content that you can get out of it, which helps generate some revenue out of that too. That can help. But it's like you're not even trying to make money. It's like you're going out of your way to lose as much as is humanly possible in the fastest possible time and just throw it into an incinerator. Go ahead.
He's got other businesses and what have you. So I can't see. I don't know why he's going so big on this. Is his app that important? I don't know.
It's like, but I'm saying, like, are you even being serious? Like, to me, it's like you're sounding more and more like somebody who's like, I just thought this would be really cool, and I thought I would try it. I'm like, most people start off with a small concept. You know what? Maybe have a card HQ. Again, this is where I'll agree with the Sports Show Radio guys. Maybe have a card HQ in 2,000 square feet. Yep. You don't need as much staff. Start modestly. Use the brand. And then, you know what? If it proves so successful, get bigger.
Yeah.
Start there and then grow bigger.
Well, he's already so big now that if he did that, he'd be stepping down and then waiting to step up again. And I don't think that serves his ego very well.
Well, the problem, Bobby, is that he's big by sports card terms. And like when I get into the scandal, yeah, no, I get it. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. In sports card terms, in this genre, in this niche, he has one of the biggest audiences with the amount of viewers and stuff like that on a consistent basis. But the thing is that that's not good enough. In the real world, that's nothing. That's very small potatoes. Sure. When I get to the real scandalous thing, where I'm going to have some fun with it a little later on, the video that exposed that scandal has 1.2 million views in like 5 days. Geoff can't do that. There's nothing he can do other than literally light himself on fire that will get anything resembling that kind of numbers. So what does that tell you? It's a completely different genre. It's a different universe.
For sure.
Burbank wasn't built in a day. Facts. No businessman wants to lose money. Yes, you can write off some of the losses, but not as easy as straightforward as is portrayed. Yes, that's what I mean. Like, you shouldn't be going out of your way to try. Just slow down. Slow down. Oh, look at these guys. Crazy like Rick Fox or De'Aaron Fox? Like a Megan Fox. It's pretty crazy. Geoff kind of winging it. Not many people opening shops of that size. Very few. I can't think of too many. Although I think they did find that David Adams, apparently their space is like 46,000 square feet.
Yeah.
But they're like outside of Buffalo. They're outside of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot cheaper. You're basically buying a warehouse space and then filling it. Yeah. Surely Geoff isn't being serious. Fact. Yep. I got a $2 super chat if Geoff lights himself fire. There you go. $2. $2, Geoff. $2. There you go. Look at you, Bobby. Hashtag invest. Hashtag invest wisely.
It's kind of funny. Prior to 2000, we never heard of Burbank. We never heard of Jeff. We never heard of a lot of these things, and they've only been since the boom, I guess, that we had there. And most are
Burbank's been around, but they were regional. They were out west. Like, they've been running the shop for years. Yeah,
they were. Yeah, of course. Yeah, they were just but you never heard of them. We never talked about them prior to that, right? So things have really just changed in the last few years. So I guess he's just trying to go as big as possible. I guess everybody has their eyes on Jeff Wilson right now. And if he goes big and does something, I don't know what he can do. How do you grow from that point on? Like, honestly, Atlanta's only so big. I don't see the end game for him. There's no, he's already somewhat famous within the hobby for his videos or his podcast and whatever, and his app or whatever. We're going this way. How much money does he really think he's going to be making? Millions and millions? Like, I can't see it. I don't see it. Not on 400K of buying regular kind of cards. No, I just don't. I don't see the end game on this one. But there's always something, accomplishment, build yourself up, like Burbank. Small cards. They've grown. They have great system. Boom. They could do that.
Yeah. So let's touch on two things here. So Hobby Champ says David Adams' space is a dungeon full of wholesale clearance sabers and bills, which has worked out for them though. But for what they're trying to do, it works, which is fine. But that's important. Dave says chess videos get 1 million views. I know. Imagine if he had cat videos. If he had cat videos, hell, make it 140,000 square feet. He'll be killing it. He'll just play the cat videos. He'll be fine.
He'll be kidding it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. So much tedious work. He doesn't strike me as somebody who's interested in that. Doesn't seem to be thinking that far ahead. $3.50 for me for Jeff and Fuego. Love it, Will.
Oh,
So I went on to Burbank's site, did the About Us page, whatever. So the first shop they opened up was in 87. So they opened up in 1987 at the end of the last boom, and it was 1,900 square foot location originally. So they purchased that in the late 80s. So they started off with that. It was coins, stamps, and collectibles. So they started off as a collectible shop.
Like that back then,
yeah, which is fine. But then think that's 1987. So they're starting in 1987, hanging around, building up the. So it took them all those years. The second location was in 95. I'm just using their own timeline. So they start off with 1,900 square feet. 8 years later, post original boom period, they got their second location. So it took them the better part of a decade to move to the second location.
Sure.
It wasn't this location they're at
ups
today.
And downs there, right? So
yeah. The current location, the first new location before they opened the warehouse one, was in 2007. So 1995 to 2007. Now we have to jump ahead another 12 years. So we're 20 years in, and they've moved to a 7,500 square foot location. So it took 20 years to do that. And it's only now that they've built up the bigger space and everything now after all the years and built up the whole thing. So it's like,
but Jeff wants to get there now.
He's jumping straight. Yeah, he's jumping straight to the thing like 20. The other guy's 20 years in. And he's built a brand, at least in that region. He had built himself up over time and did the whole thing.
He's went through the ups and downs of the hobby, the industry. So, there's a lot of knowledge in that. Running into this on a downturn economy, downturn hobby, for the most part in basketball, football, and baseball. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. It doesn't. Like I said, I can't see the end games. I just don't know where he wants to go with this. Is a TV show coming up? I don't know. There's got to be something to this, more to it. I don't know.
He's got to do a Geoff, Golden Touch crossover.
That's what I'm kind of thinking. He's trying to get in that or something. I just, what kind of end game do you going to have in sports cars where you have to have so much product and so many?
I would bet you almost anything that the end game hasn't been thought of yet. He's like, all right, I've got figured out to mid 2024. It's like, really? That's as far ahead as you thought? Like after like June 2024, you got nothing
in this hobby, maybe.
Yeah. That reminds me of a big kid masquerading as an adult. He's such a Tom Hanks and Big. Bringing the movie reference. Yeah.
Big. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. 20 years in and growing. Is that like being 10 years in and growing? Not exactly. I would argue they were doing a little bit more in that first 10 years. Where did I go? To go shill a card? Who knows? A legend.
Oh, shoot.
Would you invest $500K in a handful of high-end sports cars or $500K to open a card HQ? Ooh.
Neither.
Yeah, I was going to say that much money. I wouldn't want to touch either one of those things even before. But if you said like you have to pick one, I'll pick if I get to pick the cards, I'd rather pick up the cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a better shot at winning than trying to start up a shop right now. $500K is not a game I want to play. Bankruptcy is in game. Probably that's where he ends up with. Yeah. What do you want Jeff to light himself fire? We're going to get so much content for the store's epic fail. We can have both. Don't limit a sack. We can have both. I didn't say the sequencing. We can still have both. Plus, we've already gotten offers. Like we're already starting to roll in some potential money here. If look, Golden has let me down. I was waiting for him. He got this close. He was close to doing it.
You're up to 550 right now.
I know. It's crazy. The shop can go out of business first, but it better go out in blaze of glory, literally. See?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Watch out for the fire. The Mark Murphy thing. Yeah.
I mean,
shot cards here. Hello. Good evening to you.
That's kind of excited about it and hope it works. I think it'd be kind of cool to have like this world-class hobby destination.
So would I, but he's acting like a complete raving loon. Like, Eric, that's fine. I don't disagree. Look, again, I'm going to reiterate. Either way, content. Yeah. Either way, content. But here's the thing. If you want it to succeed, don't be a raving loon. Like you got to make some logical decisions somewhere along the way. Like we're not off to a good start, man. Again, I'm taking your face value. You're the one claiming that you're saying it like this. So if I'm listening to what you are saying, if I take you at your word, you're a raving loon. If you're trying to sell this to me like to show triumphantly that you were so sneaky behind the scenes doing something else, so be it. but that's a stupid thing to brag about because you're getting the content all the way a long way. Why aren't you telling me something smart? Why aren't you giving me a logical plan that actually makes sense instead of the craziness that you're telling me? You're claiming you haven't already got these relationships locked down, and that you're like, well, we'll do some distribution with the allocation, and we'll do some of the. Why do you not already have that locked down?
No, I agree. That should have, those deals should have been in place before an announcement was made.
Yeah. So Shaw Cards, good evening.
Before you purchased a building or a storefront, all that stuff should have been in play. I agree 100%. I just hope it works out because I think this is Disney World. This is Disney World for the hobby. If it actually works, and so that'd be fun. I hope it does. But in today's economy, inflation, loan rates, people's disposable income, it's not a good time to start one of these.
We'll have to see. So here, Hobby Champ says, can we touch on cards with an S HQ? Hard's headquarters should be Card HQ. Look, fair enough. I don't disagree with you. Like, I think you can make, I guess it depends on what they had a trademark for. I would wonder if maybe there's already a Card HQ.
Maybe
that could be part of the problem. Maybe they couldn't get the domain and stuff like that. Like, because that could be an issue. That could be part of the problem is if you can't get the domain. They says build it and they will come. They're going to have to. Maybe they need to build a cornfield in the back. Disney World for the hobby or a personal shrine for sports card. Jesus. Geoff Wilson. Maybe. Good evening, gentlemen. If you had to recommend one place to visit in Canada, what would it be? Don't say Niagara Falls. There you go. No idea who would want to go there. Hit that like
Nova Scotia, AMG.
There you go. You go visit the Keats factory. Have them take you on a tour.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. So wait. So one place to visit in Canada, what would it be? Okay. So here's the thing. So let me ask one question, and we can actually try to give an answer. What do you actually want to see, like nature, or do you want to just visit things where there's stuff to do? Like, do you have a preference? Some people prefer one or the other because there's actually good answers depending on what your actual preference. Some people like to see the nature and stuff. I would send them out west. Go check out the Rocky Mountains and stuff. Like, there's some good stuff out. If you want to visit nature and that's what you want to do, I would probably send you out there. There's a lot of great places out there.
Or Eric has the answer, really, because he went to Niagara Falls, and that's
it says specifically. Don't say Niagara Falls. It says specifically. Don't say Niagara Falls.
Man, if you've never been,
the Canadian side,
yeah, sure. Oh, that's the best side.
The American side has that straight fall, like boring, whatever.
Yeah, you have to see it. You have to
see
it
the lights at night.
Yes. There. If you have never been to Niagara Falls, the first time you go, it will take your breath away.
I don't know. There's the Cabot Trail. There's a few places.
The point though is that if you're talking nature, you've got some good options. But if you say I want to be in the middle of it and visit things, and then I'm going to give you a different
Montreal downtown.
That'd be a good one. That's a good one.
Not Toronto though. I don't think there's.
You don't need. The good part about Montreal,
a few things, but
the good part about Montreal is that because it's Montreal specifically, you can go to restaurants and ask for English service. Almost all of them have. And specifically, the way the person at the front will ask you, do you want service in English or French? And you can say, I want service in English. And boom, you're good to go. It minimizes the language barrier for you. You can go visit most of the place in Montreal proper. You'll be fine.
Corned beef is French and English the same. So it doesn't matter.
There you go. Shotcards here says, I think Geoff's goal is to be invited to a Michael Rubin party. He should have gotten invited to one first before he opened the shop. This is the Hockey Falls down. So Sean's point here is why I'm asking about the nature versus city kind of thing. Yeah. Because, a lot of the main cities are going to have some good stuff. You're a hockey fan, you want to do that? Hockey Hall of Fame is in Toronto. There's a lot of stuff in Toronto. You can visit a ton. You want to visit nature, so Will's right. Banff. Go out west. There's a lot of good stuff out there if that's what you want to do. Or you go north. Because if you want to visit nature and see a lot of the parks and some of the goods, plenty. So go as far north as you can, snow, cold. Exactly. If that's what you're into, boom, you're good to go. Visit things with stuff to do. Not a big nature guy. Yeah. Then stick with some of the major cities. Montreal's a good choice. There's some really good. There's a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun in Montreal. That's a good one. I like Toronto, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. But Montreal's a good one. That one's a good one. I was in Toronto when I was young. Been to Vancouver and Victoria a couple times. Montreal's intriguing. Yeah. If you've been to Toronto before, then go to Montreal. Montreal's a fun one. You're gonna have a good time there.
If I could you know, if I had unlimited funds and I could be like, hey, I'm going to go to this place in Canada, I'd definitely be in British Columbia. It's probably one of the greatest places to mountain bike on the planet. Whistler Bike Park. Yeah, that is on my, you know, my bucket list to get out there. It's mountain bike heaven. So that's what I would pick. You do have to be careful of the bears. You're out there riding bikes and you come across a very large, hungry bear. There's been a few incidents, so that I don't particularly like, but
That'll motivate you to bike harder.
yeah.
So Dave here says, has Eric ever had a poutine?
That's none of his goddamn business, and I don't like the tone of his questioning.
Hobby Champ says he gets it, poutine with mayo instead of gravy. Facts. Dave says Waterton Lakes National Park and hit Glacier across the border. There's a lot of good ones there. Just don't come to Kelowna. There's no mountain biking here.
I wouldn't come to Kelowna to save my life.
You should, though. You could, like, this could be the reality show that we have. You go out there with your little bike, and then Name chases after you. We give him a high-powered rifle, and you become the most dangerous game of all, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere near that place. Not while he's there. If he goes, when he goes to see his quackers in Oregon, maybe then I'll go.
There you go. All right, so I think we got a good transition here for you. So there's a good opportunity. You can start off there. So can the Peabody boy show what he bought in Canada? So this is your chance. We're going to get into some fall expo stuff. Those of you who want to hang out, you're more than welcome. So we've been like going almost 2 hours and some of the other fun. We did talk about the sports car therapist thing. We talked about Karl Jobst and old G off. We've touched on that. A little Joe Burrow, a little bit of different things. We're going to do some fall expo stuff. And then after that, I'm going to have some fun with a charity scandal that I've enjoyed, a little rabbit hole that I've gone down, but that'll be later. We'll have some fun with. Just don't be the slowest rider. Bears can only eat one person at a time. Facts, Josh.
That is true.
And Josh was at the expo, got a chance to chat with him, hang out a little bit. He was off screen. If you guys saw the live that we were doing, Eric acknowledged Josh in person. He was just off screen as a disembodied voice. So Eric, okay, high level. Yeah. Give a little bit of background on how things went with the expo, and then maybe share a couple of items you picked up. I'm going to come right back.
Well, as usual, the expo is a hockey card collector's dream. It's heaven. There are simply things there that I, a vintage hockey collector in the United States cannot find here, and it can only find there. And if you have the time and the patience, you will find whatever you're looking for over the 4 days. You may have to pay for it, and you may have to pay more than you want, but it is there. And I went up with my list as I have the 2 previous years, and I came home with a lot of things crossed off. One of the things I did notice that there are, like at many shows, there are people who are still trying to recoup the money they lost during the pandemic. There are some people that simply are not pricing their items to sell. They know what they have into them, and they want to try to get their money back. Well, the ship has sailed. That's not going to happen. And there are many people that stuck to their guns, would not move on prices, and packed up all their stuff at the end of the show and had to bring it all home. And then there's other people that were willing to deal, were willing to lower prices, were willing to eat whatever, they paid during the pandemic. And you were able to work with those people and really get some good stuff. But there was a period of time where Yannick and I were walking around shocked. I mean, literally giggling like school children over the obnoxiousness of what people are asking for certain cards and how they're sticking to their guns, and just hysterical, laughing. Like, buddy, you will not sell that and for that price in that condition under any circumstances. and you're going to bring it home with you. And we saw a lot of that. And in talking to other people during the show, in passing, I heard that a lot, that there were just some people there that were living in the past of 2 years ago and expecting us to pay ungodly amounts of money for cards that just simply aren't worth it.
On a related note, those people struggle to sell, shockingly enough.
Yeah.
Hobby Champ says here, yeah, but can I find a vintage 1990 Square Lindros? Perhaps. Perhaps.
In the 5-cent bin, yeah, sure.
Toronto's just like a mini New York, yes. And they've also used it in films in the past. Like if you ever go back and watch some old like movies in the 80s, especially a lot of 80s and early 90s, every time they look in New York, it's Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Or Vancouver sometimes, but like a lot of Toronto. They'll use it. If you guys watched, if you go on Amazon and you watch The Boys, a lot of the stuff was shot in Toronto. I literally watched them shoot part of the first season across the street from my building when I was working there. And you could literally see them doing the shooting when they were doing it. It's like, yeah, they would shoot a lot of that stuff. And so whenever they needed a New York looking place or fake New York, they close off a couple of streets in Toronto and just use it. Looks similar enough. I found that the vintage is starting to fade at the Expo. Yes. Starting to get hard to find great aggressive cards from the 80s. It is less so, and a lot of the stuff that's there is the stuff that's been there for a long time. And it's there because it's overpriced and it just sits. So it's become really tough to move it if you're just not going to adjust the pricing. And that was my experience too, where I saw that, all right, look, it's nice to see, but at the same time, it's the same one that was here the last show and the show before and the show before that. It's not going anywhere until you figure out how to change that price tag. Paul C here. Good evening. How extensive is Eric's Expo want list? So we talked about it, kind of what you were doing, but how many items was actually on the want list?
I think this is it. So this is what I brought with me. It's very messy. It was jotted down very quickly. Okay. So, and I haven't even, some of the things I didn't get. Guy Lafleur rookie card. I don't own one. I want to have one. Johnny Busick rookie card. Wasn't able to get one of those. Didn't even see one to even try to deal.
With the Busick?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Yeah. I mean, that I was very busy and I wasn't on the floor as much as I have been in the last 2 years. I was very fortunate this year to spend a large part of my time over at the Autograph Pavilion behind the scenes and had the fortunate, I was fortunate enough to be around a lot of the athletes and, hanging out with them. So that's where I spent most of my show. I don't regret it. I had an unbelievable time. When I was on the floor, I was also looking for stuff for work to bring back to the shop. I had a budget for work I had to, go through, and then I had to find things on my list. So I had an awesome time, but it wasn't. But in really,
this plays right into it. You can actually talk about what you did get. So what were you able to procure?
So,
what'd you get? What'd you get, man?
Yeah, you already know what I got. I'll show you the big stuff. And maybe a couple of the small things, but I got a lot.
I Shill bid you here.
Also, I agree with two statements here. Busy, stocking players. Yes, Eric was trying to talk around the whole stocking.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Shut up, Josh.
And also, Hobby Champ says, Eric Lindros greater than Boubier. I think these are facts.
Yeah. Well, they both played for the Oshawa Generals, and one sucked and one didn't.
Yeah, Boubier sucked. Go on.
This is one of my big pickups. I was very, very happy about. This is my first Bobby Orr 68-69 O-Pee-Chee. I bought the card, not the slab or the grade.
Shit, that centering is beautiful.
Really, really good, right? And it's cut.
It's only a 6, but I mean,
Yeah, well,
which is a 3 in KPSA.
if you actually sent it to a reputable grader, you might get something better. Who knows?
So what was wrong with that card? Is it corner wear? Because the centering is pretty damn good on that. Or was the back centering off?
The first thing that was wrong is it was Booby Orr. What even beyond that?
Yeah, sure. No, I can't really find anything. I mean, again, it's KSA. Who the hell knows? But
the important thing is, what does that translate to a tag 1000 scale? Come on.
I know, right?
973.
But this card
973.
is very, very hard to find. In good condition, centering, all that's very, very difficult. So I was able to pick that up. I was very excited about the card that I went up there to get and come home with. Was this here, and I talked about it on the show for a bit.
What slam?
Was the Phil Esposito rookie card. Again, this one's also well centered. It's in really good shape, and I pretty much stole it. I can't believe the price I got on it. I went back to see the guys. There was the right across from your booth, Bobby. Right across. I do business with them every year. I'm friends with Andre, who actually runs the autograph pavilion also, but that's his table, right? And the deal that they gave me was crazy. I went back the next day and they were like, "You stole that from us. I can't believe he gave you that price."
Well, they told me to call 911 and I just went, "It's Eric."
The reason that Eric wasn't on the floor, he was working behind the scenes, was like running basically from the cops. They were like chasing him basically the entire time. He's like, "I should have brought my bicycle." That's basically all we saw of Eric. He was, "I should have brought my bicycle." He just make rounds. It was crazy.
Yeah. They mistake him for Canadian. He kept on saying, "How's it going,
eh?" They said that right after I bought that, one of the gentlemen that I was talking to over there said he went around and looked for other Expo rookies to see what the prices were going for, and he just like could not believe it because he could have got double for what I paid for it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable what I got it for.
That's a hot card.
So I'm very, 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 very happy with that.
Are you going to get it graded?
No, I'm just not into having to get things graded. And if I were to get anything graded, it would be my final big card, which actually I paid next to nothing for.
Again, how is this happening?
Because
it's a euphemism for stealing, Bobby. It's
no.
I didn't pay. I paid way less than I should have. Yes, taking it off the table is paying less than you should have. That's
true. This one for next to nothing because I said 2 words. No, I'm sorry. No. I said
dead after school.
No, 4 words. I'm friends with Bobby.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it was the gentleman right that's next to Wayne. I forget his name at the moment, but it was the gentleman that was next to Wayne. I'm friends with Bobby, and all of a sudden the price dropped like a stone, and I got one of the absolute best looking, sharpest, high grade raw Raybork OPG rookies I've ever seen in my life. And I might as well
say you were friends with Wayne.
And I might as well gotten it for free. It was unbelievable. And this is the one that when we passed all my cards around at dinner, that everyone, including Steve, was like, "You have to get this graded." So it's very, very good. It's high end. And if I did get it graded by PSA, I think it would be worth a lot of money.
At least $150.
At least $150.
So, wonder what I booked that for.
So those are the 3 big ones. Some of the funner stuff I picked up. Phil Esposito hockey boot wax can. I love this stuff.
Tastes great.
This type
better of mayo.
This type of stuff. I just think it's.
How does it compare to your usual mayo that you use?
Not talking to you. You're a big stupid face.
Are you sure? Can you explain why? I'm curious. That's right. That's what I thought.
If you can get a display box for the wax, that looks beautiful.
I got from Wayne. I got 6 of the 10 Pro Star promotions. There's Bobby Orr on that one. So that was pretty cool. I just have to collect the rest to complete the set. I got these 2 Gordie Howe Toronto Star cards from the 60s.
63 and 64. Yeah.
Yep, I got those. And and as much as we joke about it around here, I have become actual friends with Marcel. He actually texted me at 5:45 this morning. He is an early riser, I guess.
Please stop bugging me.
Yeah. So
the problem is you needed hours to translate it from French. He sent it to you
Yeah.
en français, and you need to fix it.
So he did text me at 5:45 this morning. He signed these. I collect the Toronto Sun inserts and get those autographed. I had him sign it in red to match his Detroit. He did that and signed a copy of the reprint of his rookie. And he did tons of other stuff for me. I mean, he gave me stuff. He gave me.
Did he give you a piggyback ride?
No,
maybe not.
No.
Disappointment.
He gave me this for free, his new version of his hat. So now I have 2 different hats of his autographed. He was just so generous with his time and everything, and it's
Marcel Dion, Happy Champs. Marcel Dion.
If you told me 3 years ago that I would be friendly with this man, and he would know who I am and be sending me text messages, I would have laughed at you and said that's ridiculous. But it is my life now, and I feel very. And then the big thing was, between Bobby and Yannick getting me different gifts, which I know we showed a little bit on the live stream we did from the show. Bobby got me this smile with the Bruins, and
I like how the smile's crooked.
Yeah, and some patches and a bubblegum Bruins ring, and it just people were very generous. So I'm very lucky.
Read a couple of comments here. You sending in that Bork to BGS? Soon.
No, come on.
Paul says nice Charizard. Facts.
Mm.
Dion, Marcel, that's right.
And
you can sell service your rolling van, apparently.
And
good variety of stuff from Bob Boozle. Thank you, Bob.
Yannick got me some cool stuff. He's an incredible guy.
By the way, Bobby, I think this proved once for all. He's like now getting to the rest of the stuff. He goes, so obviously, Reggie Lemon. He's obvious he doesn't give a shit about Reggie.
No,
I know how it is.
That's going to be the piece of resistance.
Wow, it's like that was a struggle, but go on.
That was very Marcel of him.
Here is a Phil Esposito street hockey ball, still in the packaging. Yannick picked up for me.
Do you know how tough that is?
I've never seen one before, so I know I'm impressed. More patches and buttons.
Oh, the mini stick was really cool though.
Hockey sticks with the stuff is incredible that he picked up for me. I can't wait to.
Not even out of the package.
No, well, I've been busy, man.
Yes.
But I really appreciate the gifts from people, and it's and then he also got me a crumble cookie cutter.
Cookie stamper. Yeah. There you go.
So I can make cookies.
You can cut them in the 4s.
Oh, and then this insert with Bobby Orr on it, and it says "Men on the Move," and he put "just like you." I guess I am a man on the move.
Yardley.
So that's another thing that he picked up for me. And then he got me this kind of a little bit of a gag, because last year he and I went the Maple Leafs game together. So he got me a Maple Leafs
bandwagon.
So again, very fortunate to have friends like you guys, and as much as I hate Carlos and I hate Brad, Sherry's wonderful though. We love her. The piece of a resistance, the 1 of 1 Reggie Lemlin autograph patch.
Who? Reggie who?
Lama long.
Correct.
Lama ding dong.
I didn't do that.
Correct.
So
Wasn't I?
That was a
thank
good one.
you to the AMG people for sending that over to Carlos.
For not setting it on fire, even though I should have.
And for not setting it on. Thank you to Carlos for not setting it on fire and making sure I have it. My all-time favorite hockey player, as you can tell in the background, and to have a 1 of 1 of his is pretty cool. So very fortunate
What
to have
pack
fun
did that
I
come
have.
out though?
As much as I hate you all.
They got an AMG. They pulled it there, so
Probably.
they were able to bring it over. Yeah.
Was not a metal universe or no. Okay. Yeah.
Now, was that one of the Leaf products? It was one of those deals.
Usually the lower end products you find the 1 of 1. So, anyways. Just
Sean
saying.
Red says, great stuff, Eric. Good callback by you. Hobby Champ says, I bought a second year Tuukka Rask UD high gloss out of 10 for $14 at ComC. Am I winning? According to Eric, you are. Serious question. Do you think Tuukka makes the Hall of Fame?
I hope not. I'm
You
not
can bet your ass.
I'm not a Tuukka fan. The guy did absolutely nothing when he was here of any relevance.
That's odd. Greatest goaltender in Bruins history, as I recall.
He has, well, just like we learned from last year, having the most regular season wins means nothing. The guy crapped his pants literally in the playoffs. He went to 2 cup finals and
So basically, he was a normal Bruins player. Go on.
he sucked. And I am not a fan of Tuukka Rask at all.
Oh, you mean as opposed to the great playoff run the Bruins had last year where he was involved?
Yeah.
They sucked last year. What do you want me to tell you? They sucked in the playoffs last year.
It does sounds to me like there's a common denominator, and it's not Tuukka Rask.
I just think he's got a cool name. So,
Facts.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't make it into the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's worthy of it. The Stanley Cup that he has, the Stanley Cup ring, he sat on the bench the whole time. I don't think he played a minute. Timmy Thomas had one of the greatest playoff performances of all time. He just stood on his head. It was absolutely amazing what Tim Thomas did in 2011, and Tuukka never saw the ice. So to say that he's a Stanley Cup winner and a Hall of Famer and all, just like, no, he's not. He sucks.
Wow.
okay.
What happens on the Boston Bruins?
I wish he stayed with the Maple Leafs.
No.
I wish you guys,
Crazy.
There's no bandwagon stuff there.
I'd much rather have kept Razor. You guys could have kept Tuukka. We could have kept Razor. That would have been fine.
Okay, now it's time for my pickups.
All right. Just before you do, though, I'm going to quickly touch on the Mojo story since 2 people referenced it. So real quick, I'll do it quick here. So Zach says, did I miss the Mojo story? No, we're going to touch on it right now.
Nope.
Hobby Sam says, I missed the Mojo story. Nope. We're going to do it right now. Best Bruins card you showed off all night? Probably true. Eric, you're going to crack the card out of KSA holder? Probably look better in 1 touch. Probably true. Nathan Horton did all the work in 2011. There you go. Look at you, Josh. On brand. All right. So Mojo story. All right. So obviously the Expo and Mikey Singer, who's in charge of, so the way it works is Steve Menzie is the promoter. Yeah. So Eric got that as part of the cards that I gave. So so Steve Menzie is the promoter of the show. He owns the show. And Mikey Singer is part of the company that he works with that basically contracts them to do a lot of the logistics. That's part of the deal. But in part of the stuff he does is he reaches out to a lot of the influencers, and he's very enamored with a lot of the influencers, and he encourages them to come down and stuff like that. It makes things and facilitates things for them. And one of the ones that he's become enamored with the last couple of shows is Mojo Sports. So to our collective groan, he's rolled out the red carpet and made his life very easy. So anyway, bottom line is Mojo was parading around a little bit here and there. I didn't see him too much. Hard to miss him, but in reality, I wasn't looking that hard. However, in the course of what I was
before more, the spring show, at the spring show, I saw him quite a bit, but I couldn't see.
That's probably true. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So regardless, though, I happened to be at the AMG booth when he was making his rounds. And one of the things he was doing is he was doing this little gimmick where he had bought a bunch of Tim Hortons stuff, and he had the little Tim Hortons containers for the Timbits. And he would do a bit where he'd put a donut in it and some cash. And he was doing like these mystery boxes and tried to do these trades with people where they would trade for what's in the box. And they would be a donut and some cash. In some cases, I think up to $1,000 or $1,500 because the video has now made it onto YouTube. So if you pay attention, the AMG thing is one of the segments on there. So it is on there. So Steve from AMG, who's actually Len's son, one of Eric's favorites, Len Potty.
I had a great talk with Len.
Steve's a great guy. He's a good guy. And you had a good chat with Len?
I had a great time with Len this year.
Told you. See, I told you. The problem was obviously always you. Anyway, so bottom line, so Steve was at the booth at AMG, along with a lot of the guys. If you watch the AMG Collectibles channel, you'll meet Blair, you'll meet Steve, you'll meet Sherry, and basically I'm chatting with them and I'm doing the show with them. So anyway, they're set up at the booth and they're doing their thing. And then old Mojo comes by. And it became it was part of the video. So while I was there, I happened to be chatting with Sherry at the time that's going on. And while that's going on, I kind of laugh and I end up taking a picture of it from the other side of the booth. So there you go. There's old Mojo shaking Steve's hand as they completed the deal. So what it ended up being is they talked back and forth. They tried to basically explain what the gimmick was and what they were trying to do. And he ended up buying a Connor McDavid autograph. And what was inside the box was the donut and 400 US cash in the specific box he had. So for that particular Connor McDavid, Steve was actually happy with the deal. It worked out pretty well for him because it was a regular Connor McDavid autograph. Still has value, obviously, but it's not worth 400 US. So in the end, it was for the content. They basically did it for the content, so that was part of it. But you can see, I think the guy with the Mercedes hat beside Steve there, I think had the camera. So they were kind of taking the shot. And then Mojo's, talking, and you got the hangers on, hanging around basically just beside. And then, we're just kind of watching this whole thing go down and kind of having a chuckle, watching it play out. As Steve now on next week's show, we'll have a little bit of fun because now that the YouTube video is dropped, I'll be able to show the other angle from the camera itself where Steve is now a YouTube star.
Oh. World famous.
Yep. So that was our brief encounter with Mojo Source. Very exciting.
Huh.
Very exciting.
Yeah, he's not a very exciting guy. Anyways.
Yeah,
I just have a couple pickups. I think I showed the other ones at the show and stuff like that. But I did pick up a couple ashtrays. They're considered ashtrays. And I picked up a St. Louis Blues. Now, these are made of melamine, which is, sort of a plastic. They call it unbreakable, but it surely does chip. And they came out in about 1972. So this is...
I was up there looking for those.
Oh, were you? What for? And then I also picked up another one.
Oh, you suck.
I know. Isn't that amazing? That's beautiful. I know. Anyways, these are very hard to come by. They didn't do a whole set of them, unfortunately. It was sort of the company, I think it was called 3D Graphics. They were out of Toronto. What they would do is they would import these. It says made in Italy, MB. It's a province in Italy. And the company 3D would apply these on. And they would contact each team and ask them, so they didn't have to go through the NHL and get the licensing. If you go directly to the team and say, hey, listen, do you want these for your souvenir booths? You want to promote them, whatever, and make your money? And they say, yeah, and you could use our logo because you don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to pay the whole NHL, thing. You can just pay per whatever team they go to. So I think we've done 7 different teams. I think that's about it. Toronto, Montreal, Detroit, St. Louis, even the California Seals. There's only one known. What is on that list? Who are you picking that up for?
Ashtrays.
Yes.
For Rangers, St. Louis, Toronto, Red Wings, Habs, Chicago.
For whose list is that on? Yours?
My list. I went up there to find them.
I know you have that. Yeah, I know you picked up that off center. Yes, but anyways, that's the most common one found for some reason. I guess Buffalo bought a lot of them and tried to sell them. So, but these are very expensive, Eric. Like honestly, you can't get them cheap.
I was money.
It's like 300 Canadian, which is like $40 US.
I was willing to spend money. I have all the Bruins. I got Gordy. I got Buffalo. I was willing to spend money if I found them.
More than the cards? I don't know. But no, they're very tough. Very, very difficult to find. Any which way.
Well, I'm glad you found them. If you ever want to sell them, let me know.
Okay.
There you go. So your Bob Ozil says sometimes Mojo's bits fall flat. They can. Yeah. He tries to do a lot of weird gimmicks. I don't know. I'll leave it to the audience to figure out if they like it or not. I just thought it was funny. Like I said, it happened to be literally happened to be at the booth chatting when that whole thing went down. And then we're just sitting there kind of, we're literally in the background, just kind of sitting there watching the whole thing play out. And we just thought it was funny that Steve, who is like, Steve doesn't give a shit about YouTube at all. He enjoys coming on and he'll contribute. He'll chat with and talk about it because we're doing it collectively. And that's why he's okay with it. But yeah, he doesn't care about it when we do. He has no idea who Mojo is. That's why it was very funny, him being the one right there front and center.
Yeah,
he has no idea, any of that stuff. So we had so much fun being like, oh, big YouTube star there over there. I see how it's going. So
who's Steve?
Honest question. How many cups did lemon win?
Did not win any. Went to the finals a couple of times, but did not win any. Playing for Atlanta, he won none. Calgary, he had to constantly go against the Battle of Alberta and fight off, Gretzky and the gang. Probably the greatest hockey dynasty of all time. And then he came to Boston, and guess what? He had to fight off Edmonton 2 more times. So nobody.
Alberta or Edmonton? Which one is it? Anyways, go ahead.
No, I don't think anyone has had to battle Edmonton more than Reggie Lemlin. He, between Calgary and then 2 finals in Boston, he just cannot get away from that team.
It's a little late now. Yeah.
Hobby Champ says, cool, a Bedard plate. Facts.
Wouldn't that be something?
Zach says, Mojo stopped me in Dallas and said hi, remember my name. Asked about my vintage sub. I was impressed he remembered me. No cameras. Fair enough. Nobody. There you go. Hobby Champ says, I'm no issues, Mojo. A little dopey, but seems harmless. I just want to see a mock-up with the toilet log photo of him, one of his top influencer cards. Hashtag no hate. Yeah, it was weird. Here we go. So Rock Latex says, Eric, his customs a pain bringing stuff back. Eric just straps everything to his body. He goes, I have nothing to declare. Nothing to declare.
I hand them my passport. They ask, do you have anything to declare? I say no. They say, have a nice day.
I do declare.
And all the time you just hear sound from the trunk, and it's Marcel going, let me out.
Yeah.
You only have to declare it, from what I understand, if it's over like $10,000, right? So
no,
I don't think the threshold is quite that high. Unless the rules have changed quite. Look,
if you're bringing cash over, and you have to state it.
Look, I'll share a quick story about this since he brought up the customs thing. I actually legitimately had somebody on eBay, because when I was doing my stuff, I've listed a bunch of stuff that I pulled from the boxes that I opened on eBay, and actually a bunch of them is sold off. And I'm actually I'm like 2/3 of the way to getting all my money back on everything, which is actually really good. I've been very pleased. In less than a week, a bunch of stuff is sold off, and I've already shipped it out. Paid quick, and I was like, fantastic, this is great. But I had a couple of folks that like, tell me you're new without telling me you're new. Literally, they message me and they in the eBay thing, and they say, hey, do you get charged customs from either Canada or US if you ship it to an American address? And I'm sitting there going like, no. They're going to and I'm like, I don't even want to answer the question, because I'm like, look, go figure that out yourself. Go Google that shit. The way customs is assessed is by your local customs office. It's them who does it based on what's on the customs forms, depending on how much is on there. So like in Canada, if Eric ships me something and he puts $5,000 on there, there's a really high likelihood that the Canada Post will slap on a fine, for the customs, which will be my local taxes, basically. So it depends on how much he puts on there.
Yeah, not usually for the regular mail. If it comes through UPS or FedEx, yes, because they have an on-site customs officer. Whereas the other customs just run it through. They're looking for drugs. They're looking for all that other stuff. You ever watch those shows where they're doing that airport thing? Yeah. They don't care.
Oh, Bobby, you should come by my neighborhood. I've been charged like a dozen times for regular mail.
Because of what they put on. I don't know. Because
that's what I'm saying. Like maybe in Scarborough they don't give a shit, but over here they're like, these guys got money. Yeah, the area is gentrified. They
It's
got money.
almost Oakville.
Charge
Sure.
their ass. Yeah, the thing is, it is. We're so close to Oakville. They're probably like, oh, these fools got money. Yeah, I've
Sure.
gotten a little slip from the Canada Post, and they're like, hey, come by the office and pay the customs. I'm like, why? Why? It'll literally say gift on there, and they're still trying to charge me for it.
I don't even think wow, you're only allowed $60 as a gift Canadian.
Yeah, that's just it. So there are limits to it, but the point is they're shipping it to me. But here's the truth. The reason why the question was like made my eyes roll is like, okay, number one, I don't need to tell you the answer to that. It is up to you. You shouldn't be trying to avoid the customs anyway. Number two, I'm not the one who's assessing it.
Yeah.
So if I go and ship it out for the item that was talking about, I'd be using eBay's label, which is to say eBay puts the dollar amount on it, puts the item on there, and I fill in the customs declaration form. That's going to be right on there when they scan it and they do the tracking and everything. And I go, it's not up to me, man. it's up to the USPS. It's your customs office that's going to determine that. Maybe yes, maybe no, but I don't have the answer to that question. And it's also not on me to deal with it. It's like, I'm sorry. That's part of the deal. If you're shipping internationally, you may, not 100% of the time, but if customs happens, don't be surprised, and you have to accept that. That's part of the deal.
Yeah, US is allowed $200 in free gifts. I think 300 as a gift, but 200. Yeah. We're allowed 20. No customs. 60 is a gift, and that's the way it goes. But for the most part, I don't get charged. Never. I don't think ever, unless I went through FedEx or UPS. And I shouldn't, because realistically, it's like small time stuff. It's whatever. It's already been taxed 15 times already.
Yeah,
probably
that's
more
the thing.
than the item is worth.
Yeah, but I think the key though is for that buyer. It's like, what? It's like, guys, don't ask me. You're asking me about what a customs office is going to do or not do that day. If somebody's pissed off and decides to take it out on you, the problem is the declaration is going to show how much the value is. eBay is going to pre-fill that. And then I'm going to hit the little button for the customs declaration form, sign off on it, and we're done. Beyond that, I have no control what happens next. I can't answer that for you.
So much goes between the US and Canada. It's crazy. But Ireland, you want to ship to Ireland, man, they'll get every little penny. It doesn't matter. It's $11. Yep, you're getting paid duty, whatever their percentage is, but very strict there.
That's pretty much it. Hobby Chance says Eric filled his tires with Rask comments to cross the border. Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Paul says, you ever get that gold refractor Favre? Which one? I'm sure there's a specific one you're thinking of, but I'm not sure. Dan the Card Man brought up the possibility of influencers getting paid to film at shows. Does anyone think that happens? Never thought of it. It's definitely possible. It wouldn't shock me, though, to be fair. And I could be mistaken on this, but I believe. So let me kind of sort of answer your question. Is it possible? Absolutely. But in Mojo's case, I can say that I believe the video he did where he was giving away that money and all that, I think Whatnot sponsored that. So like in effect, he was still getting paid to do it. But it was Whatnot that was doing it, not the show themselves. Now, does the show invite him and roll out the red carpet and make his life very easy, give him easy access to things? Yes. Are they necessarily cutting him a check? I don't think Menzie would go that far, but I think he would make it easy for him. Like, obviously, come on in, media pass, all that. Well, no problem. We'll provide all those things. No issue. But Whatnot definitely ponied up because that money came from Whatnot. So they were the ones doing it. So that sponsored that. So that's where all of a sudden he had that cash to be able to do that little gimmick that he had.
Didn't they say someone said 5 out of 6 of the influencers were American?
Well, yeah. If you do so I'll go to the Sports Card Expo one and show the picture. This is from the Sports Card Expo Instagram. I can pull it up and I can show the panel they did. And it's pretty much a lot of American influencers. What do you mean I have to claim the 40,000 cards I've hidden in my tires? Facts. Yep. Here we go. So Paul says, Zach, one of my local shows pays the airfare for someone to come in and vlog at the regional 300 or so table every 6 months. I get dinner, free admission, small stuff to drive, said person from the airport. Good deal. So yeah, totally possible. 100%. I don't think specifically though, given the nature of Expo, I don't think they need to, but they will make it easy for that person. They will invite them and say, hey, you should come down. We'll show you a good time. I would bet that they probably ponied up for dinner and showed them around and gave them a little red carpet treatment. So, but I don't think they necessarily paid out for it. But the Whatnots and that of the world, yeah, they definitely paid money to take care of that. Did you have to claim all the food in your wife's stomach at the border when you took her to eat all the buffet in Canada? There you go. Question for Bob Boozle. 97 Mystery Finest Gold. Yes. Okay, so this one, yes, I did win that.
We went to a steak place and they had burgers. Come on, guys.
All right. First of all,
So this was that was a question for Bob Boozle, not for Eric.
Oh,
I was late yet again.
Yeah, and your wife was there ahead of you.
yeah,
Yes, my wife was there first. Then when I did arrive, we were doing all the talking and chit chat, and then how was everybody? And then all of a sudden, the waiter standing next to me saying, "Sir, what would you like?" And I hadn't even looked at the menu yet. So something's easy, hamburger, boom.
Yeah, going to a steak place, a hamburger's right up your
It was
alley.
really good.
Because most people can't afford to have it chopped up like that. So
it was really good.
I can see the bigger shows using part of their advertising budget to pay big influencers. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Whatnot. They've got CC2 like 50K to buy cards. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there are ways. So to answer Paul's question, yes, I did. I did win that one. That one I did. So here is the picture from the panel. So I think this was the influencer panel, I want to say. So you can see. So, okay. So from left to right. So the first guy is actually one of the guys from David Adams, The Chase. So if you go onto the YouTube and you see David Adams, The Chase, they do their little web show and stuff like that, their lives. So they're based out of Buffalo. So that obviously American left. You got Mojo right beside him. The guy beside him is a guy named King of Cards. He's US based as well. I've seen a couple of his YouTube videos, but it's been a while, but I've definitely seen him around. Beside him, the goofy mustache guy, that's Coach Co. So he's Canadian, but he definitely has ingratiated himself a lot with the American crowd as well, because he went to the National, did a lot of networking, a lot of schmoozing. And Mikey Singer has obviously worked with him. He was doing some live streams with the CSC guys. So that was kind of his contribution to the deal. I think beside him is some stagehand. I don't remember that guy. And then to the end is Hockey Cards Gong Show, which is a hockey card podcast, but the guys are based out of Minnesota. So you see that you got, Coach Co, you got a stagehand from Canada, and then the rest of them all are American. So that's basically your panel that you had for one of the creator panels.
Yeah, we come up there and take over your show.
Who's we? You're from PBD. Are you sure you're not an American protectorate state too?
I don't know.
You went through one. Are you sure you're not? You're sure you're not still in a Canadian protectorate state as we speak? Maybe. You're just in denial.
Anything's possible.
So hey, look, if you go outside and you see a Tim Hortons, Eric, the fix is in. You're going to realize the truth in a minute.
I just wanted to show everybody why I was late for dinner. I was hanging out with this guy.
Yeah, let's see how many people can figure out who that is.
Yeah, we'll give you a couple of seconds to see if you know who that is. And if not, I'll tell you. But that's why I was late for dinner.
Dahmer? It's not Jeffrey Dahmer.
It's not Jeffrey Dahmer.
If it was Jeffrey Dahmer, Paul would be very excited.
Yeah, that's but
so Paul said, did it get delivered to Canada yet or sent to SMC? No, it's still with them. That's definitely not a boy band. Totally not. No. Where's the great curator? He gave up. He was one and done. Yeah. We sent him to the kiddie table after that. He gave up. He's not coming back. He's done. Yeah, it's Forsberg. That's right.
It is Forsberg.
Peter Forsberg. Yeah,
I was with
Sean Red. Sean Red's got this one as well. Yeah. Paul's standard answer, DeSalvo.
No, I was not with Mr. DeSalvo. No.
There you go. Same question. Saying where's curator? No, curator completely gave up. I don't know what he's doing. Like I said, I honestly don't know what he's doing these days. He's kept a relatively low profile. I think that's the deal now with him. But I can say, like, it's not even a joke. When he came to Canada that one time, we did stick him in the kiddie tables. Like they had this weird like side area that one time, and it was for all newer dealers because you didn't have any standing here. I think he thought in his mind that he's like, oh, I'm an influencer. Like, no one gives a fuck about you. Sorry. Go to the kiddie tables. And he had overpriced shit. He wasn't able to sell barely anything. So yeah, after that, he gave up. He was like, I was like, oh, it was like, they don't want to, and he came up with a bunch of excuses. They don't want to spend money again. No, your shit is overpriced and we don't want it. Not at that price. If you price it correctly, you sell it.
We're doing great here. And then he's the only guy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that show, people were selling fine. And it was him. And after that, he stayed on his side of the border. He's not coming back.
Not so great Canadian curator.
Mm-hmm. So guys like CC2, all these companies just give them cash and loaded boxes. There you go. Allegedly, but yes. Curator was set up in Natty, and he was literally in the last row where traffic was thin all weekend. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. There you go. Harvey Champs gets it. Paul's always about the salvo. He always throws them in there.
Uh-huh.
I will say that the Expo guys did a lot of pictures for the weekend of a lot of stuff that was happening. But look, the way you can tell what I was talking about that they rolled out the red carpet and really wanted to promote the hell out of it is if you go through the Instagram, there's a lot of mojo and a lot of the influencer guys that were on that panel. They make it into a lot of these panels. But one of the things that was kind of funny, and I'll show this one here, is there was a bunch of there was the one day, I want to say the Saturday, where you had two big signers going, and one of them was Ulrich Flair. So we had him and Tyson. Those were the two that had like a lot of attention. They basically locked down a segment of it.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Basically that hallway was locked up when they had them show up. It was kind of interesting.
And Tyson,
it definitely made for a very busy area.
And Tyson did not finish everything that was put out for him. And I don't think it wasn't because he had a Mike Tyson tantrum or,
he's been pretty chill in recent years. Like, not too many people have had too many issues with the guy in recent years.
The amount of stuff. Okay. So they had an entire back area just for him. All right. The promoters had these sections all curtained off and tables inside for their different talent to come in and sit at and do autographs. Tyson had his own wing of this back area. It was loaded. No human being in the time period that was given to him could sign that much. And he sat down because I was watching him because he was in the curtain area right next to it and you could see him. He sat there and just went and he was just going. But after a while, he got up and walked around and was like, I can't do this. I'm leaving. And him and his crew got up and walked out.
Really?
And I don't blame him. It was unreasonable.
Yeah, they overcooked it. Like they were like, it really was madness when they were doing the signing thing. Like they didn't schedule. They should have cut it off. It would have been made more sense. Like you agree to a certain amount and that's it. And then after that, it's like, sorry guys, we're done.
Oh, he signed, from what I understand, he signed for all the people that were out there and did everything he was supposed to do out on the floor, right?
Yeah.
But this was like in the private area out back. It was just him, the promoter, his crew. And I watched him. This guy was working it. But after a while, he's just like, I've been at this all day. I'd have to be here for the next 3 days to get all this stuff done. And he left. So I have no idea if that was just the promoters stuff they wanted signed so they could resell. I don't know if they pre-sold all that stuff and those are mail-ins or a combination of it. I have no idea. But it was this massive area absolutely filled with stuff, and there was no way a human being could get through all that.
Yep. Let me read a couple of these comments here quickly. Was Justin Scamble there? No. The laughter look, here's the thing. I joke with a lot of folks. I really have no problem with the kid, but he laughs every 3 seconds is the most annoying sound in the world.
That's scary.
And it's so annoying. Like, he would have been beaten to death.
Pennywise behind you.
It's terrible. He would have been beaten to death within an hour, and Eric wouldn't be here right now because we would have pinned it on him.
Yeah, he'd be in handcuffs.
Just flat out. So you can tell that he wasn't there because Eric's still here.
Yeah, but in Canada, the handcuffs are made out of licorice. So you just
no, they're made out of donuts.
No, we're gonna send you to the northern prison colony. We have our own up there. It's like, it's not unlike the gulags. We got one.
Yeah,
don't worry.
It's close.
We saved it just for you. We even got some Boston Bruins covers for you. It'll be sensational. We got some for you. It's gonna be awesome. You're gonna love it. You and the Moose are gonna have a good time over there.
Excellent.
Curator is mediating his own divorce. There you go. Him and Merle are splitting. I hope Merle gets the house. So Bob Boozle says, how is Mike Tyson signing prices? So he would sign gloves. You can. I will show you what the pricing was. It's still on the site, so I can pull it up.
Very, very high.
So regular autograph, any item except belts would be $199 Canadian. So knock off 35%. 35% off that would be your American price. And he was signing a crap ton of stuff. So they were able to get a lot. The professional photo op, same price. The premium autograph, which includes belts. So I think gloves would be obviously covered under the first one. You're good. So you can do gloves. But if you want one of the replica belts or whatever, that's where you go into the $399. And then a professional photo op, so the posed pictures, that's another $199 on top. And then there was a Tyson VIP package, which included a couple of things, and then a combo of autographs and fast passes and all that stuff. So they would start tacking on things. But even then, they had a line all around the block there for that one. He signed a lot of stuff.
Huh.
And you could tell anytime Ric Flair popped his head out someplace because everyone would start yelling "woo," and they weren't always in sync. So it'd be like "woo, woo, 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 woo."
Bobby Champ says that was the one guy that ate a guy in a bus in Canada was set free. Yeah, but it's Eric. We give him basically the death penalty or the gulag.
Gulag's worse.
You make all Canadians sound so hostile. I thought Canadians were nice. Eric, tell them about the Canadians that you know.
Yes.
We're very nice.
Very,
No,
very nice.
Canadians I know a bunch of nasty bastards. They yell at you. They don't give you access to their apps. They charge $100 for a hat. They just mess with you constantly.
Look, just between you, Eric, Bobby, myself, and you, chat. I'm just between us.
Oh, hello. You haven't been down to Massachusetts to the show in a while. Then they yell at you for 20 minutes about American politics. You know, stuff like that.
That's Len Potty.
Yeah. Look, all I'm saying is this. That's propaganda we give to the gullible Americans.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to say. It helps with tourism. Oh, yeah, we're super nice. Kill them. Send them to the gulag.
We used to be
Just
nice.
saying. Just saying.
There was someone driving backwards on the highway in the area. I saw some of the worst driving I've ever seen. Some just absolutely crazy speeders doing over 100, zipping in and out of traffic on the highways. Like I said, there was
Speed limit is 100.
I saw that, but someone told me that it's not quite the way I thought. So, yeah. So I'm driving, and something catches my eye on the other side of the highway, with the traffic should be going this way. There was a car keeping up with me driving backwards.
No way.
Yeah, and Michelle's like freaking out.
I live here all my life, and I never seen that. And you hear one time. Come on.
Yep.
So I'm back to the Len Potty story from before.
Okay.
Eric was talking about how Len is like all this, and I'm like, I have had many conversations with him, no issues. Again, there is a common denominator.
I had a very
common denominator.
Yeah. I bought stuff from Len. Again, I always buy stuff from Len. Len's fine. It's just,
and Bobby,
one day
true story. Somebody stole a Booby or a rookie card from Len this time around.
I heard that. And
did they really?
I stayed away from them.
They did. That actually did happen. Steve was actually chatting with me and told me about that. I had heard about the theft, but it turns out it was from Len's booth.
Actually, I didn't hear much about theft this time. I did hear about it last time, but not so much this time.
The police were actually making the rounds. So I was actually chatting with Colin Murray.
Yeah.
I did visit him. And when I went to go chat with him, the police officer came by and actually gave a description, talked about the card and everything. So they were letting the dealers know if anybody comes by and tries to sell you, this is the card. Gave the general info.
Len stuff is underneath plastic, so you can't really access it that easily.
One way or the other, they got it. So they were able to get it and had to, and so it became.
Bobby, it's like, how in the world, of all the people that you could steal from, he's got, it's him and like 3 guys spread out.
Yep.
Everything is secure under the plastic. You have to like lift it up.
You really do, yeah.
I mean, it's not easy.
You can make a slit with a knife pretty easily, though.
Maybe someone I don't know. I don't know what happened. I haven't heard any of the details.
No,
I know that I was across the aisle from him shortly after it happened, and someone started talking to me about it, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's horrible!" And I looked over there, and Len just looked beside himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was not in a good mood. He was not in a good mood.
And I did not go back over there.
You're smart.
He learned his lesson. It's like now he knows he's in a bad mood. Now is not the time to incur that wrath.
And I wouldn't have blamed him because
You should have just went over and said probably
$15,000 card or something.
You could have gone by and been like, "Hey, Len, let's talk politics." Would have been great.
No, I don't think
so. Hashtag content.
Well, the card was made in China.
Ooh, fantastic. International borders. How do we know Eric wasn't the one driving backwards? He uses the same navigation that he uses with the one touches.
So it was you guys. That's right.
Listen,
you were driving backwards and using the excuse that it was us.
I could see what there'd be question, but the boss was sitting next to me. She will confirm that actually happened.
You should have videotaped that because I didn't even hear about that on the news. I don't think I've ever heard of that on the news.
Like I said, I do find it, Bobby, don't you think it's interesting, though, whenever we hear of these unique one-off situations, it's always Eric is around somewhere.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm not suggesting it. I'm just asking the question, isn't it interesting that every time, hey, guys, this hasn't happened in 500 years. Eric is like, guys, this exact thing happened to me. I'm like, you think it hasn't happened in 500 years? To anybody?
Yeah. Just that one weekend, that one day, 1 minute, one time. Yeah. Okay.
Average Joe car collector is a little convenient. Eric was right across the aisle.
I know. Just after it happened.
I was there shortly afterward.
And all you hear from Eric at dinner is like, fucking Len will get his. Hey, I heard that, Eric. I heard that.
I don't have a problem with him.
Is that hashtag long con, Bobby? Am I hearing some hashtag long con?
I do not have a problem with him. I gave him more of my money this year, purchased more items from him, had a very pleasant conversation with him. There was an incident 2 years ago that
there's a little bit of a smile on his face, Bobby. These are the sounds of a guilty man trying to like assuage his conscience.
The criminal always returned to the scene of the crime. You know that. That's how they catch an arsonist. They look for the guy who's come back and peeing in his pants. It's true.
I am still befuddled over how and why it happened when I started off the pleasantries. Timmy Two Hats ran for his life. He still talks about it. Remember when that old guy started screaming at us and I ran away? And I go and left me there. Yeah, I remember. Thank you.
He values his life. Yours is expendable. Remember, when the bear is chasing you, you only need to be faster than the second slowest person.
That's it. Exactly.
And you were the slowest man.
Well, I didn't even know we were running away. I just all of a sudden.
Then you were the slowest man. Mentally, physically, just the slowest man.
Yeah, I didn't even know that it was a race.
You didn't register the danger in time.
And I stayed there respectfully, and I just took it. I didn't want to disrespect
the American flag on, I guess.
I just got there and took it, and just like, what's happening? Am I on candid camera? This can't be real.
That would have been amazing content.
Oh,
I would love to have that would be beautiful.
To this day, I still don't understand what happened, but it happened.
All right, so let me ask you guys this, and then I'll get into, and then I'll do a quick refill, and then I'll get into the scandalous charity theft. I've already shown the cards I picked up. If anybody wants to see them, check out the videos. I did include what the cards were in there.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. So obviously we were able to hang out. We were able to do the thing. Eric was running about chasing after Marcel. But and Bobby had the app, and we had things going on with it. We were able to do a live from Needham, which was cool. So I don't know if you'll do. So question for you, Bobby: are you thinking that are you going to do a booth in future shows for Needham, or is this like a one-off for you?
I believe for me it's a one-off. I know Andy's going to do the West show because he lives out that way, so he's going to set up a booth. But for me, I would bring the sign always if I'm going to set up, but I am thinking of setting up and getting back into it.
Okay. No. The reason I ask is because I think it'd be cool. We can talk about this later. If you do set up at a future show, I would love to do. We can organize one, and I would love to do a live where we actually set it up properly. We can do one at some point because if there's a booth there, we can set it up. That one we did kind of impromptu. Just the moment was right. We were set up, and
well, it was a nice situation. We had the open concept, so it was nice and easy. People can come and go. It was nice. So.
Yeah, I think we can, but I think if we do like something where we put a microphone, it'll fix up the audio. We'll position it somewhere where it's stationary, and then we don't have to bounce it around too much. I think
Sure.
we,
I
we
used to
can make, we can
videotape
make.
all the time, all the pack openings and stuff at our booth. So, you know, certainly as long as you have somebody saying go ahead, you're good, and I'm good.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk about it. We'll see what we can do here. So Dave here says it only takes 10 seconds and the cards are gone. I said goodbye to almost a complete set of 38 Gaudis in about 1988. Yeah, it's true. Doesn't take long. You're right, Dave. That is a fact. And shame about a 38 Gaudi set. Now, so my question to you guys was going to be, okay, so separate from the cards in that, was there anything you saw or got a chance to chat with somebody about or anything that stuck out to you as like a good memory or key piece during your time there? Maybe a conversation you had or something you saw. Could be anything. Could be whatever. So first Bobby and then Eric, and I'll come right back.
Yeah. I was looking around for different things at the show. A few things stuck out, but it wasn't, let's say, the greatest trinket show that I found. I found that I was doing more of the setup at the Needham booth and talking to people about that more than really getting out there as I usually have been in the past. So I missed a few pieces, which I kind of begrudgingly, I didn't search early. So I just kind of went around and I missed it. But I did get to talk to a lot of people. People picked up some nice stuff. There's a few dealers who had some great things. I shifted a lot of people over to those people to say, hey, listen, that guy's got that there. So I was texting people going, hey, that's a nice piece. Click, so you'd send it off to whoever was interested. And a few went back and bought the items. I only bought a few items myself, a few personal and a few for friends. So, yeah, it wasn't bad. But it was really, on the Saturday, it was so busy in our row there. It was just wall-to-wall people, just a gang rush of people going one way. You couldn't come back the other way. So it was really tough for about 2 or 3 hours there. Just as the flow of people were coming through, and then they distributed. They were they're all trying to get somewhere where they could walk around freely, but it was just full, constant. So, anyways, what about you, Eric?
Well, just to kind of piggyback that, I have never seen a crowd of people like that. At a card show, at a major card show, and anywhere. I mean, I was at the Bruins 2011 Stanley Cup parade where they set a record of like 1 million people, and I felt I had more walking space than I did. It was crazy, and honest to God, if the fire marshal came in, they would have shut down the entire place. I
would say on the Saturday for sure.
That hallway was unsafe. Hundreds and hundreds of people were in a space that were not made for hundreds and hundreds of people. So, I hope.
What's funny though? I did mention it in one of the videos when I was talking to Bobbles. The thing is, the way they structure it with the halls and everything, you literally could have gone outside and gone around. If you had the appropriate passes, you could have actually entered and gone in.
Yeah. I went through that mess once.
Yeah.
The second time, I said there is no way, and I went outside and walked around the building to the other side.
And during that time when it was locked up, the main hall where the majority of the dealers were wasn't bad at all. Because it was clustered. It was very much concentrated. And that's the problem was, and this is something that maybe, and like I said, I do. Menzie was actually around when we had the dinner at Chopped, and we did get a chance to chat with him for a couple of minutes since he was there. So maybe this is something I'd like to have a conversation with him post-mortem and kind of talk about it. I think that's an obvious pinch point. Now that it's become obvious that under the right circumstances, it gets locked up that badly, they're going to have to think of another way. There has to be another connecting point somewhere so that you can actually do it. So let me touch on 2 comments here real quick. Did anyone hear anything about how the trade nights went? I heard a little bit, and from the folks that were because I did chat with a couple of guys that do the trade nights, and from what they were telling me, they had some success in it. I do want to get more reports from some of them that do hang out in those, but I definitely knew some people that were participating in those for sure. International Border said, so why do you guys think it was so much busier this time around? Because so I think there's twofold. Number one, the guest list was very good. That was a thing for a lot of folks, especially, like I said, on the Saturday was obviously a very busy
3 times larger than ever was.
Yeah, and they set a record in terms of through the turnstile for sure. The other piece of it is honestly that's why when I did the podcast with Bobbles on Monday and we recorded it, is that we can't treat this as an indicator of the general market for other shows. It's its own beast. The expo is very much insulated from a lot of stuff that's going on in the hobby. A lot of people around here just don't care. And it's not that they don't care about prices or everything, but people will wait for the prices they want. But money was still flowing in the room. Dealers that were willing to accommodate and were able to do, they moved inventory. They made sales. They made money. Cash was moving on the floor. People were not paying record prices for everything, not at all.
No.
But if you were reasonable, like bargain bins were very popular. People were there, going through finding their $5 and $10
wasn't that
cards.
many actually this time around. As I was speaking with one guy, he, the dollar boxes, they just weren't there. I don't think people want to have people sitting at their table going through the dollar boxes because the flow of people, right? You have to remember.
But it's also the booths are too expensive. For a lot of the dealers, the booths are too expensive to take up the real estate.
It's usually an extra piece on the side at the end.
Exactly.
It didn't really happen. I know, if you look at the show in the Hall 5 there, if you add the additional eBay booths, because they used to have one booth before, now they have 6, and then you keep on extrapolating that into Patters and all these other large corporations. A lot of that stuff is really taken up by Heritage and what have you. They had a half a booth, and Mike Bossy's daughter had a half a booth. Have a big quad of 6 booths. So there was a lot of room that wasn't being utilized in the sense of. So most of the dealers were down these certain rows, and those are the rows that were really busy. All that other part in the middle part really wasn't so bad, I found.
Can we get back to the Mike Bossy's daughter part? What was that about? I didn't know anything about that.
So Mike Bossy had a daughter, and she was there.
Okay. And she was there. She was there selling his stuff all autographed. For cancer, and she was there with Heritage, half of Heritage. Okay. So sort of where eBay was, right up from Panthers. So she had half of 6 booths, I guess, and the Heritage had the other half. I never she was there, and she had all these things stacked up, and she gave me a free because I was talking to her, and I got a free autograph Bossy postcard she gave me. She goes, "Here, just take that," because I was talking a little bit about her, and I was with a friend too. So very nice, very pretty lady.
There you go. So kind of to close off this question is that I think honestly we are in a market where it's a destination show that people come out for. People travel to it, and they still enjoy it. They still have a lot of fun with it. We're going to see once I think we get a chance to talk to him later on. Brad will be able to give us a little insight. I think they did a record number of submissions as well. And the on-site grading, from what I saw, was a resounding success. They had traffic constantly through that booth. It's the biggest booth they ever brought, but they had a whole platoon of people from PSA that were there they were busy the whole way. So it's one of those things where it was nuts.
They put a building inside a building.
Mm-hmm.
Their setup was massive. It was absolutely massive. They took up 1/4 of that room.
Oh yeah.
And
it's huge.
They literally put a building inside a building.
And they warranted it. They had enough traffic and business going on to warrant it. They earned it. So let me touch on Bob Jackson's question here. So in that time-lapse video, so the one that I made there was one guy who opened a showcase to look through some cars and the vendor wasn't there. I assume it's frowned upon without the person they're watching. So thank you. Good eye on there, Bob Jackson. So that is actually, I believe, Corey. I'm always making sure. Sometimes I'm bad with names. But it's basically a mutual friend with Steve. So the booth that I took the time-lapse on is my buddy Steve's booth. So I actually set up the tripod there. He says, no problem, go ahead. So I actually do it to try to face it down the hallway. So you can see it. You can see PWCC at the end if you pay attention to it. So he basically kind of helps mind the booth. So several of Steve's friends come by. It's Steve's showcases, but usually he'll have certain friends who will come by and hang out, and they do a lot of that business through there. So basically he minds the booth and he hangs out at the booth a lot of the time, and then he walks around. So Steve leaves his showcases locked most of the time. If you see it like that, where it's open and somebody's looking at it that way, when Steve isn't standing there, it's because he's one of the friends who hangs out inside the booth. So that's the reason why you saw. So what you saw is true, but at the same time, he's a buddy, and that's why he was there. And Steve's kind of got him within earshot, and he helps out with the booth anyway. So that's why it's okay. But generally speaking, yes. Generally speaking, it would be frowned upon. If he's not standing there, it's also not unlocked.
Yeah, he's one of the only ones I saw that every single time someone goes, "Can I take a look at this?" Out comes the keys. Everyone, stuff is wide out in the open. I mean, and again, I guess we said earlier, of all the people, I guess Steve would have been number one. But Len, with the way his setup is, it still amazes me that something got stolen from him, because everyone else's stuff is literally just sitting there on a table. You can just reach over, grab it, and walk away.
Yeah.
And
one key to this,
locked up.
Yeah, and one key is sometimes Steve will go to quickly grab something or like quickly drop off something and come see or whatever, and he'll have folks watching the booth for a little bit, and they can kind of talk to people and deal with it. But here's the thing: it's still locked up. So it's a situation where literally the set of keys goes with the guy who owns the booth. And what happens in that scenario is that you can look at stuff, and then if you really need to look at it closer, well, then Steve has to come back with the keys, because it's literally all the cases are locked. So that's why I say, like, that specific time lapse is because at that moment, Steve was kind of hanging around within earshot just outside of the shot, and he wanted to look at some stuff or help somebody with it. So they were able to do that. No problem. But then, yeah, otherwise, if it wasn't him, it was somebody else, things locked up. So Bob here says another question, and he guesses on how many of the Mirror Platinum Golds got redeemed for each player, or did a bunch walk out backdoor when they were kaput? So there were a lot of backdoor cards for a lot of the stuff in Pinnacle in the last years. I think the Mirror Platinum Golds, for the most part, were pretty good. They were pretty good about that. If you see a number on it, and obviously, I guess somebody could have gotten a backdoored one and put like some number on it. The issue isn't that specific one is not plagued with it as badly as some of the other ones. As far as I recall, I haven't heard of too many backdoor ones on the Mirror Platinum Golds, but it's always possible. Pinnacle, when it went out of business, a lot of inventory got out the door that way. So you have to factor that in.
So there's the card I got. That was Bossy signed.
For Bossy? Nice.
Yeah.
Let me just zoom in on that for a second. It's a good lithograph. Nice picture.
Yeah. It's nice.
I wish I knew that was happening. I would have definitely spent some time there. I got two Bossy things sitting on my desk. I got an autograph card and an autograph puck sitting right here. Do you know that?
Yeah, he had all pucks for sale, and she had everything for sale that he signed, I guess, before he passed away. So
for goals per game average, Mike Bossy is number one all time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. 100%. Yeah, because his career ended really early. I think you want to say he was 30 or 31.
Yeah.
560 goals at 30 or 31, and he had he was scoring almost 50 goals a year.
Yeah.
He is the greatest goal scorer in NHL history.
Pure goal scorer. Yeah, he was really, really good. Watching him was fun. Not against Toronto, but yeah.
So CC here says they should. Yeah, there you go. CC says they should really consider only putting dealers on one side that a connecting hallway. That would help. Yeah,
I agree, and I was going to say that earlier, and so I agree with you entirely. If you're going to use that hallway for dealers, one side only, because it was truly, and I'm not over exaggerating, it was unsafe.
But it still was at least 12 feet, 14 feet wide between the dealers. No, probably even more. Probably 16.
Yeah, the problem is with the amount of the problem is, since it was the connection between the two areas, you needed the additional space. That. Yeah.
You thought there'd be a flow.
Yeah.
But then you had Tyson, then you had Ric Flair, and then you had PSA at the back, and
And there were a couple of other times as well. There would be a couple of little windows here and there where if people were looking at stuff on each side, it got narrow quick. That's kind of what that kind of created its own thing. So International Borders here says, so more signers. That was a big factor, I would say. And also just that we're insulated because the show is its own special thing, because it's twice a year and it's the fall one, which particularly draws a crowd. Although the last show did very well too. The spring one did well. So the fall one was going to be only stronger. It was going to be, and obviously the signers was quality. They had some quality signers. So how about vintage selection? I heard you guys saying it was drying up. Yes, I agree with that. Seems the show is evolving. The presence of vintage is what I remember most in 01. It's definitely certain dealers are hanging on to the same stuff they probably had in 01 because they never adjusted their pricing. But yeah.
I had no issues finding the things I wanted.
The things you wanted, though, were the things you wanted, like a lot of people don't understand. If you pick a higher end rookie, a Hall of Fame guy,
He's going to be there.
the stuff's available in quantity. Like it's available. It's not like you say Phil Esposito rookie, which one? Now, if you're being picky, then that narrows it down, but there are going to be multiple copies on that floor. If you get a little bit more expansive, though, beyond the obvious, it's like, okay, you want some singles for this, some singles for that. Give you an example. The 63 Fleer set that I have. That's not an uncommon set, but I'm looking for ones that are graded for my thing. Colin's down to the last handful. He actually had 3 left. That was it. So I grabbed 2 out of the 3 that I thought were priced fairly. I took them, and then I said, all right, we're good. And then, yeah, for future ones, I'm probably going to have to go eBay route or look somewhere else with it. But slowly it chipped away over time. But that stuff, he hasn't added more since.
Yeah, you don't find a lot of super rarities at the show. With regards to even cards too, most of the rarer cards and what have you are done, behind closed doors or even just on the internet. A lot of people don't want to speculate what the price is. And there's stuff that doesn't really have comps. You have to look forward to putting it on eBay and seeing where it's going to go, because the open format doesn't work. It works better than just putting a price on it and thinking, okay, I'll take this, when you could possibly get a lot more. And I think that's the driving force behind a lot of things not being saved for the Expo. If you go years ago, there wasn't really much going on in the internet world, and guys would save stuff up for 6 months. It was great. Like the show was just like, you didn't have enough money. You'd bring 5-10K and gone. It was amazing.
Yep.
But that's 10, 15 years ago.
True. CC says, I believe PSA onsite grading may have helped with attendance. I don't know if it spiked attendance. I will say though, it did bring certain people specifically that came in to do a job or a mission, because when I was chatting with Brad and we were doing the AMG thing and he briefly chatted about it, I want to say they ended up with a dozen or maybe a little more of the 52 Manos. So they had a bunch of them at that show. And a bunch of those people were ones who had been looking to get them graded for years, but refused to ship them. Under any circumstance, they would not ship them. But you let them do on-site grading, you let them walk it right in, get it graded, boom, straight out. They were willing to do that. Yeah, they just didn't want it in their possession for long.
Basically, the next day, because Andy got his the next day. He got his Gretzky rookie, and I guess it was Jordan. Yeah, Jordan rookie. Got them both then. Still too low grades, but I mean,
but that on-site grading option though, for certain folks that are not comfortable shipping it, that was really critical for them. For them, the fact that they could walk it in, hand it off, and be like, "All right, we'll give you a call, and when it's done, boom." Even if it's the next day, at least they know they can come back and get it right back in their hands.
Carlos,
that was huge for them.
I haven't been shy over me not sending cards in for grading and not trusting the process, and there's lots of different reasons. One of them is I am not taking the more expensive cards in my collection and shipping them to California. I can't trust that a Christmas card is going to get to a family member in Florida, never mind a Gretzky rookie to California. I'm not risking it. It's never going to happen. So if I ever was to get a card graded, it's going to be in a situation like that. I will walk it up, hand it to Brad, call me when it's done. But there's no way. If the United States Postal Service can't get my Christmas card to somebody, I'm not going to put a Gretzky card in the mail.
There you go. Good evening, Stu. Paul says, you got a mirror gold far from 96 or 97? No, but I've looked at a few, and my intention at some point is to get one. I'm not in a hurry. They have been available from time to time. I'm just trying to get one at a price I'm comfortable with. But I definitely would like to add them. I think that'd be fun cards to add. Definitely fits into kind of what I'm shooting for with the Favre collection. Bob says, Eric, how was your time with Marcel? We'll get back to that. Hang tight. 100% correct. Even if I know deal I'd wait. Bossy and Dryden were on their own planets. 578 goals in 10 seasons. True, Jeff. Hopefully things on my want list filter onto eBay from people buying out other dealers. That's usually the thing. One key piece of a lot of the discussion, and this affected the buying. For the most part, I was looking for stuff that I can't just buy on eBay. If I can buy, I did buy a couple of limited logo Medanos, which in theory I could find on eBay, but they would cost me more, number one, because a lot of people will pay a premium. And I was able to find them on the table and come to a deal that I was very happy with. So for me, they were upgrades to ones I already had. And then the ones that are on eBay, if somebody notices ones on eBay, they're mine. They're the other copy.
Yeah.
So that's why suddenly they appeared. They were my copy. But the thing is, they don't come up on eBay every day. I have a saved search for limited logos. And the only limited logos I've seen the last couple of weeks from Monando come up are mine, the ones I listed. So it's not a regular occurrence. Once in a while, even though they're out of 50, there are a bunch sitting in people's collections. They did the set. So they would build a set with these patches. So the nicer patches are a little tougher to come by. So when you can get one, that's a nice patch for you. That's great. But there's a lot of stuff there, though, that is like, yeah, this is cool. It's a cool card or whatever the case may be. I'll use an example. Connor McDavid, Young Gun. Great card. If you're a fan of Connor McDavid, you want the card, whatever, cool. But there's 50 on eBay right now.
Yeah.
You can have them in different grades, graded or ungraded, an Ovechkin Young Gun, Crosby Young Gun, like there's a bunch right now. You want to go hit buy now, you can get copies. So it's like they're not rare. They're certainly available. So at that point, then you can pick and choose. You see it on the dealer's table. Yes. Can we come to a price that I'm happy with? If that's the case, then great. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Bob Jackson says, I wonder how many people told, I have to do those back home at the shop in my storage in the old booth I live in all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I was told that at least 5 to 7 times. Oh, I have that. I'm like, do you have this? Oh, back at home I have it. Maybe I'll try to bring it tomorrow. Come stop by again tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to freaking remember what booth you're at.
It's true. Also, CSG by end of show natty grading was clutch at 15 per. That's fair. Yep. Actually, this reminds me. So we obviously talked about the different stuff we picked up and all that at the show. Like I said, I did the videos covering that. I did end up opening. I talked to the guys. Obviously, I did end up opening all those AEW metal boxes. I actually had a lot of fun with that. I had a good time with it. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't had the chance to enjoy opening those many boxes in one shot in one sitting. Had a good time with it. I've actually made about 2/3 of my money back already, and I haven't sold my best cars out of it yet. So that's great. So it looks like I should get my money back, maybe be in the black a little bit, which is a win. I consider that a win. I was able to take a couple of cards and break even or come out a little ahead. That's a win. Especially for box breaking, which is generally a money losing proposition. So that was good. But one thing that happened is our indirect friends at ComC, I was able to drop off my cards there, number one, which is great. Had a nice chat with those folks. So good time. But one of my graded cards, speaking of CGC or CSG, I got one of my cards graded from them, and it was taking a little bit of time, but it actually came in on Friday. So we got it back. So speaking of metal and speaking of CSG, we got a Jamie Benn Precious Metal Gems, like the one Eric likes to show. Very similar to it. So I got my Jamie Benn, and this one here came back a 9, which is actually good for this year's metal. They chip like crazy. So you get knocked down to like a 7 and 8 or an 8.5 very quickly. So coming back a 9 is solid. So this will be in my next ComC order when I get that to come in. But I was looking forward to getting that, which is cool. So I was like, awesome. I like it. So it's like a mail day, like a pickup, but I was waiting on that one for a bit. Bob Jackson says, so the old give me your email and I'll get back to you, aka they never email you. True.
No.
It's the worst.
People just say no. Move on.
Zach says, I collect vintage baseball, modern basketball. At Dallas, I hardly look at any basketball because I can get anything on eBay cheaper usually. Yeah. And that's a huge help, though. If you know that your wants are narrow, you can kind of skip through a lot of tables. There's a lot of Now, I did get a chance this time to briefly go in. There were, like Bobby's point is right, there weren't a lot of bargain bins, but there were a handful out there. And I showed a couple of cards that I picked up. I was happy to grab a couple of cards here. I found a handful. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll take these. Great. And you try to knock off a little bit you can. You say, it's like, $50 for that. We can take 35. I'll take 40. That's fine. Then you go with that. And it made it easy. The deals that I did end up making were easy deals. They were quick because I kind of already knew the number I wanted. And I said, well, let's do a little back and forth. We joke about the negotiation. The negotiation is easy if you actually know what you want to get and just have a frank conversation. This is where this is where I want to be. Well, can you do this? It's like, all right, I'll meet you halfway, $5 between. Boom, done. It's not 45 minutes of haggling. Oh, I don't know. I might, and all that nonsense you see on the vlogs. Like, stop it. My longest negotiation was like a minute and a half, like tops. It wasn't a very long conversation. They had an idea what they wanted. I had an idea what we wanted. We found a number in the middle, and we were good to go.
It's usually
That's
how
it.
it should work.
Yeah, it should not be rocket science. It should be simple, especially if you understand what you're trying to get out of it.
Unless the
That's not-
dealer's being firm and or you're being firm, either way, 'cause that's the biggest problem. I wouldn't take this, nothing less than that. Otherwise, I'll just take it home with me. It's like,
I have more into it than that. That's
then
not
you're
my problem.
stupid. Then you don't know how to be a dealer, you dumbass.
Right.
Don't ever tell me that.
You fell for the traps during the pandemic and thought that we're going to be in pandemic mode forever, you idiot.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Guys just use that as an excuse. They just say it.
Oh, I got more into it than that. Now,
Just talk. Yeah. It's just like, oh, you don't know how to buy. Huh? What?
you
Yeah.
should
Well,
spend that much, idiot.
Well, look, can I give you an example? So actually, this reminds me, one of the things I was going to talk about when we were talking about Geoff's shop. So one of the things that the AMG guys were doing, the way their booth was structured, was twofold. So they had their side edge booth that we talked about. So what happened though is they had basically a space in the middle, and then the tables were set up like this to create a little space, so people could walk through the middle, the people that work in the booth easily, and then be able to do that. One showcase is the singles. So you've got the showcases happening, wrapping around in the singles, different ones they picked up. They were trying to do a buying show. We talked about this on the AMG, and they struggled because the people would come up to them and had unrealistic prices they wanted to sell at. They were trying to get like full comps, nearly full comps. And it's like, we're a dealer. Like, there's no way we can't buy at full comps. And then what are we selling to our customers at? Like, there's no way.
Discussion every day at work with customers that come in. I saw this on eBay. It's going for 300. Okay. First of all, did it sell for 300 or is it listed for 300? Because you can list it for anything. So you have to have that conversation. Then you go through the comps and they go, okay, well, right there, it's 225. That's great. That's what I can get out of it. I'm willing to give you $100. I mean, it's
ooh, you guys are low.
Whatever. I'm making up numbers.
Eric, like $150. So you've got that
every day.
So that was a bit of a struggle, but they were able to sell. What's funny is they were able to sell some items because they were priced them reasonably enough to actually be able to sell. But buying was a bit of a struggle because the people coming at them were coming at them with unrealistic numbers. That just didn't make sense. Other half of the table, the other little wraparound, was wax. So what they were trying to move, so they had wax. This goes back to the conversation from earlier. They're under a distributor model. A lot of card shops are. So they've got their thing with the distributor. But the problem is the current distributor model is bad for a lot of card shops because it forces you to be constantly outflow of cash. But the real issue, and that's for AMG, that's for a lot of other ones, is that the distributor is like, oh, you want to get, like, for example, Series 1. Series 1 sold tremendously. They sold 4 figures worth of boxes in terms of the number of boxes. I'm not talking about dollars. I'm talking about quantity of boxes. They sold over 1,000 boxes of their initial allocation within days. Gone. No problem. Had no issue selling it. But what happens is, oh, you want that much allocation? I need you to buy this other product and this other product and this other product. And we made all the jokes about the AW metal. Steve basically and them had to keep slashing that price. And even from that, we slashed it further. And I said, look, I'll take a bunch. I ended up taking total 9 boxes from them. But my cost basis was ridiculously low. I traded a card for it and they were able to sell the card. So that worked out great. And then I did buy some boxes, but the price got progressively lower throughout the weekend. On Sunday, the price got really low. They're like, please just take it away.
Yeah.
And if you were on that side and you were bargain hunting for wax and you could go over there and they were like, yeah, buy a bunch, buy a couple, and we'll drop the price. Because the goal was to leave without those boxes. Because they go back to the shop, they just collect dust. They're not selling. And the reality was they're losing money on selling these boxes. Like, they really were losing money because I know what the wholesale price was on the boxes, but they're like, we're better off getting something for this, getting some cash, and then buying something else that we can make money on. Exactly. We're not going to get it back on these boxes. It's not coming back. That's it.
No, exactly. And that's it. It's, so when someone says, I have more into this, and they bought it 3 years ago, you're not ever, ever, ever getting that money back.
Yeah.
So take what you can before it drops even more and reinvest that money into something else. But I don't want to hear it anymore. I have no interest in you telling me I can't because I have more into. Well, you're an idiot. Because I never say something ridiculous. Like, if the card's priced at $200, I don't say $25. All right, I don't go and try to make an ass out of myself and and sound like a moron.
Well, you just did. You offered a guy $100 on a $250
terrible,
card
yeah.
a few minutes ago. What the hell?
But
Well,
the
first
reason
of
I gave
all,
the reason I
buying, that's smart because that's buying as a
that's
deal.
wicked smart. Wicked
That's
smart.
wicked smart.
Now, here's the thing, though. The reason I gave that example, though, is because they went in with the objective of getting rid of that wax. They understood the assignment. The assignment was, we are going to lose money on this, but whatever money we get out of this, we'll be able to buy. We'll go back to the shop, or in this case, the show didn't work out. That's fine. They go back to the shop and somebody comes in with something, they're going to buy. They're going to be like, all right, we'll buy at this. We'll get our margin. They're not planning on 10xing every deal, but at the same time, if you get a little bit back every time, you can work your way back to even on the deal. Unfortunately, the boxes are no-go. There's some of those boxes, they can't move them at any price. So they're better off getting rid of it. And that included one of the little tricks, and I talked about it in my videos, that AEW metal was one of the Upper Deck pack redemption ones. So you could get free pack redemption cards. You could pull autographs and things like, so as a buyer, you're able to buy these boxes cheap. If you were a savvy buyer, you could be like, look, even if you don't pull anything amazing, go get some of these bonus packs and maybe you pull something decent and sell it. Look, I can tell you right now, I've already sold 2 of the autographs that I pull, and the third one is up for auction, and it's actually selling pretty well for me. I'm actually making like 20% of the price of those boxes back just on the free autographs I got.
Amazing.
So it's like, for me, those were free. If I had just bought the boxes on their own, I wouldn't have those. As it is, though, it's a bonus that allows me to recoup some more. And I even sold some of those victory rookies. They're victory rookies. One of them sold at my buy now price. Boom, gone. They paid full freight. I'm like, fantastic. This is bonus for me.
I love it.
Wait, right now you're getting all the pieces. It's like using every piece of the chicken, Bobby. Like, you're being offered this extra pieces. It's like, well, then don't waste. There's actually some other elements you can use. Like, don't waste it. Like, use everything then. So Paul says you're seeing enough guys at the levy break and seeing more, and I'm seeing more quality stuff at pure auction because they got to be financially solvent. AKA collectors can get deals at auction right now. Dave says the major auction houses are flooded with material currently. REA auction running now over 4,000 lots. It's pretty big for REA.
So many. It's just unbelievable how many auction houses are running, let alone eBay, let alone dealers. It's just like, wow. And that's what you have. You have too much in the marketplace from not enough absorption of collectors. And, you know, it gets worse and worse, unfortunately, as they keep on making new products every year. So, you know, hopefully you can catch up with that. But a lot of stuff ends up in dollar boxes, right?
I don't know how people can follow all these auctions. All right.
You can't.
No, let's just take a look at what Jeremy's doing. Okay, how he's got all he's in cahoots, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He's working. He's with these auction companies. He's got a different auction all the time. I can't keep up with that. I can't watch. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of time. I cannot watch Jeremy every single night go through a different auction house and the hundreds of cards that are available every night. Where am I going to find the time or the money to do that? And that's just the ones Jeremy's doing business with. There are plenty more. Plus eBay, right? It's too overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how any of these companies are making any money because the money is spread out between Golden, PWCC, Card Sharks, and Robert Edwards, and I mean, I can't even go through all the ones Jeremy's got going on. I mean, I don't even. How are any of them making money? Now I know Robert Edwards is going to make money because they got the Babe Ruth Baltimore Orioles card right now, right?
Baltimore News, yeah.
Right. So that's going to make them money that alone. And people are going to go to the site to look at that and then maybe look at some other stuff and that they can't afford. Right. So that's how that's done. But I don't have time. Thank you, Stukes.
Yep.
I don't have time or the money to go through every single freaking auction house plus eBay searching for this stuff. I just don't know how people are expected to do that.
Well, there was a time way back that we had dealers and we had collectors. Now every collector is sort of a dealer now too, on top of that. So there's a lot of stuff that's staying in the middle there. So there's a lot of trading amongst people. trade night, that works out well for a lot of people.
It does, yeah.
No money.
That's why I say I'll get more word from those guys, but they told me that the trade night, they felt that the traffic at trade night was the best thus far. And considering we haven't had traditionally a history or much of a heritage of trade nights,
Yeah, a little bit,
if they're growing a little bit at a time, though, that's good. Like, that's actually fine. If it's growing a little at a time and it's getting better all the time, that's fantastic. Great. Sounds good.
So I think I saw a video where people were complaining about that too.
Oh, people are going to complain no matter what. You're always going to get something.
No, I think even the owners are looking at canceling it. So interesting.
We'll see.
I forget what it was.
I didn't hear anything specific about trade night at all. I did not hear one person say good or bad. When I was running late to get to you guys, I was still at the show, and I'm running out of there, and I get by the, where they're having it, and it was loud. They had music pumping, and there did seem to be a lot of people and a lot of noise. So there seemed to be a lot of people in there, a lot of enthusiasm, and it seemed as if people were having a good time. But again, it was me just running by and kind of looking into the room real fast.
So earlier tonight, we had Simon. Simon is actually one of the guys who does a lot of these trade nights and things. And I did get a chance to talk to Lapper. So I think we've seen Lapper here in the chat before. Lapper also attended those trade nights. So I can reach out to both of them and get kind of their vantage point because Simon does more basketball. That's more his deal. And Lapper obviously does hockey. So I can get kind of two contrasting points of two different guys who had different objectives at trade night and kind of see how their experiences were. So I'll reach out to those guys and get a little bit of their view from attending those events.
Nice.
Paul says eBay is the best card show running right now. Auctions, they're willing to play ball, and that's worth it in and of itself. That's fair.
Yeah, sure.
Makes sense. All right, so let's do something, guys. Any last thoughts or questions on the Expo thing? We'll get a chance to talk other stuff later on. Like I mentioned, I'm going to do the Big Scott thing on Sunday, and he'll have his own questions or whatever. But that's kind of our general experience. Obviously, we can have a good fun with it because a lot of it is us hanging out and chatting with people and communicating. And we do still find things, but it's become less of the emphasis. It's nice when we can find stuff. That's cool. Like, I'm not complaining. I laugh because every time around, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to find anything, but I'm still able to have some fun, find some cards that I like.
There you go.
Like the patch on that one. So I can still find my stuff, but it's just a matter of going in with the expectation that mostly it's just enjoyment. Like, it's for me, it's just hanging out.
A mature collector too. On top of that, it's not like you're starting out, So you've been around a while, and people who've been around a while, basically, their want lists are pretty low for the most part.
Yeah. It also helps, like, truthfully, in the same vein of a lot of stuff we talk about. It helps also that it's like, know a guy. Like, one of the deals here was because Paul saw it and shot me a message, and I was able to walk over to the dealer booth, and boom, there it is. I bought it.
Yeah, well,
but
that's
it's like
is we were helping each other in that way. Yeah, me with my guys, you with your guys. It's all we're all connected now. So
yeah, I honestly do not. I'll be honest. This is the first show I can truly say. Like, different shows, it's hard to see to actually check everything. Obviously, some stuff you bypass. I can tell you legitimately, if I saw 65% of the show this time around, I would be surprised. I don't think I even got 65%.
I didn't see that much.
I probably got around to about that, but yeah, it's about that. No longer, no more.
Yeah. And usually I'm somewhere in the 70s to 80s. And this one was like really, honestly, I was just chilling. I was hanging out.
I missed stuff. Actually, I missed some stuff. They go, oh yeah, I didn't see that. And I went, I was there first thing in the morning. I should have made my rounds. I didn't make them properly because it's a social thing, and then you're talking to certain people and you're working other deals with other people. It's like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I still got my main objectives done. That's one of the things. Like, I still got my key pieces taken care of, and I was able to do that. So that worked out. So I was like, okay. So Bob Jackson says Expo rating out of 10. So that's a good one. Anything specifically you chase? Expo rating out of 10 for you for the show.
Normally, it's usually a 9 for me. I'd say this one was less because I didn't find as much. It was a great social end. It's up and down. So I'd have to say an 8 out of 10 for me.
Ooh, I was actually going to say an 8 myself. So it's funny that you wound up in the same spot. I think it was a solid show. Like, I thought it was solid. I've had a few where there were, I think, a little more successful for some of the stuff I like to do, but I got my main stuff taken care of.
In the social aspect, it's usually 9 or 10. But with the amount, it's what you really find, because that's you're going to a sports card show. You're not just spending 5 days just doing nothing. So, yeah, in the social sense, it was good. in other senses, it was maybe not as good, but always happy, always content with what I picked up.
And one other thing, so for me, so Bob Jackson's second question, anything specifically you'd change? There's always room for improvement, but one thing for me specifically is that now that we know if there's going to be some busy elements like that, and it's something I was talking with Sherry and the AMG folks. We want to plan some stuff out. We want to have a little bit of fun with some of the interactive elements of it because it's actually enjoyable. Look, I would love nothing more given Steve's love of the YouTubes and being a YouTube star. I would love to literally stick a microphone in the middle of the table and force Steve into a live from the booth. And I know Blair and those guys, they'd have fun with it. They would have a lot of fun with it. And Steve would be very annoyed, and we'd all laugh at the fact he's annoyed about it. And that's what would make it funny.
Yeah.
I would love to have presented that because I think that would have been fun. I still think there's room to do more interactive stuff from the show.
I think
we got a taste, but there's definitely room for more. That's why I asked Bobby. We'll talk more later on if that comes to pass. But I would love to do it. I think I would love to give, and it wouldn't be like the big drawn out thing that we'll do on Friday nights. But even if we're hanging out for 25 minutes, just chilling and chatting a little bit live from the show on the channel, it would be really cool if we set it up properly so you can hear us properly and see us. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and we could do that, and it would at least give you a taste of what's happening live
around with people. Maybe videotaping them getting an autograph, or even just working a deal with a guy, or that kind of stuff would be fun to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements to it. There's a lot more we can do, and honestly, this show led me down the path of thinking there is so many things that I think would be interesting, and that's where the connections we have. Like that's a situation where we'd be like, Menzie, get me in touch with friggin' Singer. I need a little access to do a couple of things here and there. If you could set me up with that would make it awesome. That would make it a lot better and easier. But yeah, that's planning. That's, now we know better what the situation lay of the land is. And if we can set that up, that'd be awesome. That'd be fun. Eric, you want to give your out of 10 rating and I'll read a couple of these comments?
Yeah, listen, it's a 10. It's been a 10 to 3 years. I mean, this is my happy place. I had the time of my life. I was very fortunate to be allowed, backstage at the autograph pavilion and meet tons of people and spend time with people. The cards I wanted to find, I found and got great prices on. I got to see my friends and go to dinner with people every night and hang out with everyone. And the best part, and sounds a little sappy, but this is the first time I brought my wife. So in the evening, she'd come out to dinner with us and be a part of it all and meet everybody and she was the icing on the cake. I just loved having her up there and so it was a total 10 for me. Yeah, I loved it.
Which brings extra money.
Yeah. And I kind of hung out with that guy a lot right there.
Who is it?
It's Marcel. I hung out with him a lot.
It's not a great card. It's kind of like he's skating away and you can't even recognize him. It's like, some cards are better than others. That's 78. What do you want? So,
yeah.
See, I thought, Eric, you were going to tell us, and this is kind of my thought. I was under the impression the reason it was a 10 for you, and this was my thought process on it.
Here we go.
I thought it was basically because of this. So let's share here.
Okay.
No. So we had a lovely picture. I definitely didn't zoom in.
Yes, waiting for that.
So look, there's Eric. There's Eric. And if you look off to the side right here, this is a nice little cup of mayonnaise. You can see why Eric is so happy. He's thrilled.
Happy.
Yeah.
Definitely not, Bobby. I definitely didn't crop in this image. This is the picture. Eric wanted us to zoom in and focus on the cup of mayonnaise. So yes, I think it's really
that was that chop. Yeah.
I kid you not. I was not acting when I was across the room talking to Timmy Two Hats and Corey. And I come back and I sit down and I immediately lean to my left and I'm talking to my wife and I look up and Carlos, you had a shit-eating grin like this, bigger than any Cheshire cat in history. And
God damn, Jesus. Okay.
Spell it, please.
Spell it phonetically. Let's go.
CAT.
Okay. No, cat.
And I'm like, all right, something's up. And I turn my head, and that is sitting right in front of me. And I jumped on. I jumped like a little girl saw a spider. And that was not an act. I turned, saw that, and I jumped. And then I quickly moved it away, far, far away. So, yeah, it was just a wonderful prank. I think you guys really don't believe that I will throw up. And
Oh, I do. I just don't care.
We're pushing.
yeah,
Look
Yeah,
at
100%. Like it's a worthwhile sacrifice. Yes.
we're at a nice restaurant.
everyone get their phones up and go, hey,
Yeah, like 100%. Like we've got everybody ready to go, man.
We're
Wanna
at a
see it
nice
blow
restaurant.
chunks.
It would have ruined everybody's
Look,
night.
all I gotta say is, to be clear, I had a Cheshire cat grin, but I'm not the one who initiated it. And I can assure you that you'll be pleased to know, and I did mention that to you before the last time I saw you during the show, is that you've got a gentleman out in Saskatoon, who's got nothing but time to think about these things. And his first words to me, text message after the show, I was a little under the weather, but I did get the message. And his first text message to me was, and I quote, "So, period. Let us speak of further degrading Eric." This is what he leads with. This is why we have been friends for more than 20 years. He gets it.
And you immediately started feeling better.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
I said, Schadenfreude heals me, man.
Yes, I'm so happy that I am in his crosshairs.
And he's out there. He's out there. He's thinking an idea. Listen, winter's real long in Saskatoon. He's got a lot of time inside to think, to do nothing but think and plot.
Yeah,
Eric, winter's coming.
Winter's coming. I never saw an episode, but I do know that.
You got to see it. It's interesting.
Bob Jackson, how many mayo packets did you hide for Eric to find? There were a lot of plans revolving mayo packets. There you go. Eric, July 1st, 2022. You should have listened to me. There you go. How was Yannick? Haven't seen him in here for a while unless he changed his handle. He's around once in a blue moon. He is around. We did chat during, obviously, we hung out in dinner. So we had a good time. Yannick did well. I'll reach out to him and maybe we'll get him to pop in because he can share some of his pickups. He had a really good movie related one. That was a really awesome one. I don't want to spoil it for him. If you check out his Instagram and follow it, you'll be able to see it. But it's very cool. It's a very cool piece. So it's a very cool piece.
Yeah, he did well.
I have a Worcestershire cat. There you go. Worcestershire cat. Did you reseal a pack with a mayo packet inside? We should have. It would have been 10 out of 10 if you could sneak it. There you go, Bob Jackson. You're thinking.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Why don't you go squirrel?
Yes. So thank you all for asking and hanging out. All right. So before we call it a night, who's ready for some charity fraud? Allegedly.
Yes.
I want to finish off with this because this is a fun one.
And
all right. It's not Brett Favre.
No, I wish. Eric, that would make it an 11 out of 10 for me. 11 out of 10. 12 out of 10. So anyway, all right. So let me give a little background, a little context. It's not sports card related, but it's fun. It's in the same vein as our friends, the Timepiece Gentlemen. Look, sports card drama is fun and all. We led with it because I figured people would enjoy it, and we had a good conversation about it. I'm with you. But the Timepiece Gentleman thing transcends. It's better than the sports card bullshit. Look, you've got hookers and cocaine, man. Hookers and cocaine. You want me to care about sports card drama? Like sports card drama is like a 2 out of 10 for me. You bring in millions of dollars of fraud and hookers and cocaine. All right, we're starting a little interesting. Now this one is not quite on that level. So let's put Timepiece Gentleman at like a 9.5 on the 10 scale. This was a solid 7.5, 8 though. It's pretty good.
Okay.
So here's what it is. So in the video game realm, I've talked about how sports cars are very niche. The video game realm, though, is very popular on the YouTubes. And the first kind of video that I saw that kind of exposed this piece, I will leave a link in the description if you want to go down that rabbit hole. It's very well done. Already has 1.2 million views in 4 days. So you can already see, like, obviously the word gets out there. And there's a companion video as well that talks about that a little bit.
Job?
So I want to share that. Was that?
Is that Job there?
That's Karl Jobst. That's right.
Yeah.
So here's the basic rundown. And then if you want to go down the rabbit hole deeper, you can definitely check it out. So basically what there's a gentleman named Gerard, the Completionist. And he's been around in the video game scene for a long time. And his gimmick is the Completionist. He plays these video games to 100% because they've got achievements and things. And that became his deal. And he's been doing it for years. What this leads into is that for the past decade or so, they created a nonprofit organization called Open Hand Foundation. It's called the Open Hand Foundation, and it was founded based on their mother getting dementia. And what happened is their mother passed away of dementia, that's right. And the Open Hand Foundation, what it did is it became the undercurrent of this charity live stream they would do. It was, I think, Indieland. And it was based on independent video games. So it would showcase independent video games and also accept donations for this Open Hand Foundation, who were supposed to give this money to charities related to dementia, Alzheimer's, that type of disease
were
in
naming
the
them
name
off,
of their mother who died of dementia. Okay. So
Yep.
that's the basic groundwork.
That's
Over the
it.
course of the past decade, they have collected over $600,000 in charitable contributions. Sounds great. And every single one of those live streams, he talks about these foundations that they're giving money to this charity and blah, blah, blah. He names off a bunch of them. Okay. So Karl Jobst and the other gentleman who was working with it, what they did is, I don't know what led them specifically to look into it. I'm not sure what precipitated that. But what happens is when you're a charity, you're a nonprofit, you have to file out the paperwork because you have to say how much money did you collect, how much did you spend on administrative fees, and then how much did you dispense. And what happened is they started looking through it, and here's what they found. This is where all the alleged comes into play because we don't know exactly what's going on with the money, but I'll explain. So what happens over the course of 10 years, they've collected over $600,000, and they've paid out a certain amount in administrative fees over the various years. But under the column where it shows grants or donations or whatever, every year it says zero. And what happens is the balance at the bottom keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the money keeps piling up. And as far as they can tell, the money doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
But
so
it
this
will
is
one day.
Yeah, one day. So what happens is they reach out and they're like, hey, you guys said you're supposed to be giving the money to these charities here that you name. And one of the charities has a quote from a guy from one of the charities. And the guy was fired from that place 7 years before the charity became in. And it's like, you're setting off red flags right now. You're setting off a lot of red flags.
Mm-hmm.
So very similar to our friend, the sports card therapist. In this case, they got on a call with him. So as part of the video, they go on a call and they're like, what's going on?
They did speak, right?
Yeah, they did speak with him. So in fairness, they did reach out and they were able to talk to him. And they talked to this guy and he says, yeah, I found out about that last year. And, and that led me to being proactive, trying to figure out what to do about it. And then he's literally talking to them and he's saying like, what do you guys think I should do? I'm paraphrasing, but basically they're sitting there like, why are you asking us? Give them the money. You said you're collecting the money for these charities.
We
Give
haven't
them
found
the money.
a worthy enough one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Their excuse, and go back to the excuses thing. They're saying like, oh, well, we're worried that the money isn't going all the way to really help. It's like not like a lot of it is being lost. And administrative is like, well, even as opposed to the one where you're sitting on it, you're sitting on a pile of cash.
No help. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Just a scam.
It's been a decade. So Eric, while it's not hookers and cocaine, it is collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars in a charity based on your dead mother.
Special place in hell for you.
Here's the
it
thing.
Ain't looking good.
Because they have expenses, and they're generally around $30,000 to $40,000 a year. So you can almost say it's $1 million.
Yeah. And the question though is,
it's just fun money for them.
And it's also though your foundation is basically your family.
For what?
That's my point, Bobby. That's my point. Your administration is what? Your brother is part of the foundation. Your dad is part of the foundation. You're part of the. Who the fuck are you paying? You're paying for what?
They're paying for popcorn and chips and pop.
Eric, I have questions. I have questions.
It's a very good one, anyways.
Yes. So I would say I would recommend. And look, I just love how random it was. I was like, "Are you serious?" Like it was so stupid. But what's great about it though is here's the video. It's from Karl Jobst, and I will leave a link to this in the description if you want to check it. The video itself is 12 minutes. It covers the basic. It lays out everything I just said, gives you a little more detail, shows you the documentation because it's available. It's available, publicly available. And one other thing is Karl Jobst here includes the video to the other one where they went into it a little bit more depth, and you can actually get, I believe in the open hand filings and their responses are included here in a Google Drive documents. You can actually see the documentation yourself. You don't have to take their word for it. You can go look at it because it is publicly available. If you're a public charity, there is a number you can look up and actually validate their numbers. And again, they talk to the guy in the video and he basically confirms that they have not sent the money anywhere.
But they can't find out worthy enough,
obviously.
So yeah, poor guys.
So it's absolutely hysterical. 1.2 million views so far. And hold on, gotta make sure. Boom, gotta hit the like button there. And I'm charging Eric for that one too.
That's not even this show.
Listen, beautiful thing. He's got 65,000 likes. It's beautiful. It's fantastic.
Yep.
So it is fascinating that they spent it. Now the key is that in that decade they've run this live stream, this charity, and every single time he keeps naming off these charities that he's supposed to giving money. And here's the thing. So let's
between
be nice and give the benefit of the doubt. They're having this phone conversation. He's trying to be contrite. He's trying. Tell me if this sounds familiar with our therapist. He's trying to he's going to make good on it. Well, here's the problem. After that phone call, they had the 2023 edition of this Indie Land charity, and he still named off these charities that are not getting this money.
Yep. So he lied, anyways. Right
yeah, 100%. That's really what it comes down to. It's like he lies and they keep stalling, and they're not making any public statement on it. It's like, guys, and they're like, what should we do? It's like, write a check, hand over the check.
It's already over at this point. They might just bow out.
There you go. Good evening, Katie.
Hey, honey, how are you? Good. I'm glad that you popped in and said hi. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow. Love you.
There you go. But just imagine that $600,000 over a decade. And by the way, this guy had a great reputation right up until this point. And the thing is, literally at this point, and by the way, in the same vein, people are circling the wagons, trying to defend him. Stop me if this sounds familiar. They're trying to defend him. He's a great guy.
I know.
A great guy. And it's like, this might be a time to just let this one play out. In the same vein as the story we began the live stream with, this might be a time, let it play out a little bit. Just let it play out. Because the dude, a lot of folks were joking about it, and I agree with them. At this point, guys, do the fucking novelty check, okay? Do the big old knob. You better make a big show of you handing over this cash to one of these charities. Get rid of it. Get it. So the question is, the filings show that the money is somewhere. Is it still in the account, really? Is it still in the account?
I don't know now.
An audit
Maybe not now.
Their way.
At this point, you may as well, really, there's enough red flags here that somebody needs to go look at this. But also, in the same vein, be aware, if you watch the video, you'll see that there's some independent developer companies that donated directly to this and also gave office space to do the live stream and everything.
Yeah.
They've donated money too. And individuals donated money. And all these people contributed. And they're sitting there no matter what you want to try to use as an excuse, we gave you this money with the expectation that you were going to give it to the charity. And what about the charity themselves, the ones they named that have never received a dime, but their name is being used as part of the promotion, saying, this is the charities that are going to get the money. They're like, we didn't get the money.
Nope.
Why are you using our name saying we got this? It's like, we didn't get anything from you.
Yeah. And who's watching the video stream who to work there, So they can't get caught on a lot of things. And this is going to keep going on and on and on. The different scams, the ones we haven't even found out yet, have been going on for a long time in the hobby or what have you, they're yet to come.
There you go. So, Eric, a decade of, again, we'll say alleged, because at the moment we don't know where the money is and what's going on with it. But either way, even if you want to be super generous, it's misappropriation of funds. It didn't go to where you said it was supposed to go. Even if the money's sitting in a bank account, hasn't been touched, it's exactly the amount is there to the penny. You still should have given it to the people that you said you were going to give it to.
Yeah.
Because people gave you money under the expectation that it's supposed to go there.
I mean, it's one thing if it's like a year or something, and you're like, listen, we just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. We're going to, but a decade? Yeah, I think there's something wrong with that.
Been enough time. You probably should have given it to, you probably should have gotten somebody to print up the big novelty check and hand it off by now. I just thought it was great. Again, it's not, it's not hookers and cocaine. But like I said, it's a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10.
There could be hookers and cocaine.
Using your dead mother's name in vain to collect money for a charity. It's pretty scummy. It's pretty up there in the scumminess.
That's probably a 9 out of 10.
You need to use the term hookers and blow, and both of you keep saying hookers and cocaine. I am deeply disappointed, and I will not tolerate this. We have an opportunity to say hookers and blow. We're going to use that opportunity.
What are we waiting? What are you here to contribute? This is your time. Do it.
Yeah.
Hookers and blow.
Correct. Yeah. Mom would have wanted it this way, apparently.
Fentanyl.
So if you do enjoy the proper drama in the hundreds of thousands of dollars done the right way, yes. If you're going to scam, do it for hundreds of thousands of dollars, allegedly. Let's go. None of this piddling sports card peasantry.
Yes.
She'll bid a couple of cards for a couple $100. $600,000 in a fake charity in your dead mother's name.
Doesn't get any better.
I hope a fucking therapist is taking this. This is how you do it. If you're gonna go big.
This is Brett Favre level.
Favre.
Go big. Go big. To go to here. Did I miss the Brett Favre praise? Is scheduled to be on the show yet? We can only dream.
Yeah.
Can only dream. But yes. So I wanted to kind of bookend the show with two forms of
That was
shadiness.
good.
We had a
That was
sports
fun.
card shadiness, and then we had some lovely charity fraud, allegedly.
Gotta love the charity fraud.
Sounds good. All right, folks. Anything else that you want to touch on? I think I want to double check. I had my little checklist of stuff. Got that. We did touch on Leaf sold. Panini and WWE getting a settlement. Joe Burrow's injury. Sports card therapist shit. Did it. Covered a lot of the housekeeping stuff. Did the Expo talk.
Docket was full and stuff.
Pretty good. I think we checked off a lot of the stuff, Eric. That's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid agenda.
Can I go through my checklist, please?
Oh.
I hate name.
Mm.
Shut up, Josh.
You didn't actually do that until now.
Yeah, I know. He's waiting.
Yeah, you waited quite a long
Like
time.
putting that 600,000 away.
There is nothing positive or good about this show. I hate
We're charging you for the like button. Yeah.
I got my 5 in.
All right. There you go.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, folks. Anything else then before we take off? Paul's got his comment in. Boom. Got that.
Mine
We got an
is,
appearance from Dakota, so we appreciate that.
even if he got him, you still need him.
I was going to say, Bobby, now's your chance. Do the promo. Do the promo here at the end.
There it is. Even if you got him, still need him. Check it out.
You too.
It's what Needham. It's Needham.com. What's the URL?
Yeah, it's needham.com. That's all you have to do.
Okay.
Yep, it's http:// go there. Don't do www. That doesn't work. Or you can download it on your app, on the App Store. It's everywhere.
Nice.
Find it. Have
For
it.
almost everybody.
Yeah, no, definitely not him.
No, almost.
Good
Everybody.
stuff. I like it. Zach says it's a full show. Kept my attention the whole time. Have a good evening. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
And thank you to the folks who've been hanging around. It's actually been a good crowd. We've had folks hanging around for basically the whole night, chatting with us on a lot of this different stuff. We had a lot of fun. So we're back next week, and we'll see. I don't know if it can be nearly as eventful as this. Like, I need like another charity scandal. Like, am I going to get?
I don't know.
Is next week the week that Ken Golden lights himself on fire? Dare I live the impossible dream?
There's some good stuff always coming around the corner. It's just you never know.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. But anyway, on your way out, if you could hit the like button, we charge Eric for it. Always appreciate that. Definitely come back. It is the longest running episodic, whatever the hell this is. So we were able to continue that last week and then continue it this week. And yeah, we're now into mid-November, heading towards the latter portion of the month. And then upcoming soon. Scary is that we're getting close now. So I think next week, y'all Americans are going to have, I think on Thursday, your Thanksgiving. So you got that going on. And then Friday will be part of, I guess, Thanksgiving weekend festivities. So happy early Thanksgiving to you folks, because live stream wise, we won't see you until Friday. Then yeah, we'll be doing the usual Friday show. So we'll have some fun with that. See what comes of that. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk some Turkey Day stuff. Maybe we'll do a little thematically appropriate stuff. So we'll definitely get into that.
Even in the Canadians, during our Thanksgiving, you will have NFL football. And since you refuse to watch your own football, and you keep trying to steal our football, our Thanksgiving.
You're a New England Patriots fan at this point. You do not have football.
I will not argue that point.
You can call our players.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
I don't think the Pats could beat any of the CFL teams right now.
Maybe they should relegate them to the CFL.
I think that would, like they do with the Premiership in soccer, they get relegated. And I think
the best part is, Bobby, given that we're really good Canadians, I think isn't this Sunday the Grey Cup?
Yeah.
Or is it next Sunday? I think it's this Sunday, isn't it? What does that tell you? I'm pretty sure it is. Like I'm like 80% sure it's the Grey Cup.
It's one of the two. I can't even remember.
Hold on.
That's
101st Grey Cup, November. Yeah, November 19th. Yeah. No. Well, here's the thing. Nobody cares, but it'll get a decent viewership. But the people that don't give a crap the entire rest of the year, they'll watch it.
Because there's usually nothing else on.
So it's going to be Winnipeg again against Montreal.
Yeah.
So one of the places that we suggest you visit in Canada and Winnipeg.
The Alouettes. And what is the name of the Winnipeg team?
The Blue Bombers.
the Blue Bombers.
You know what's funny though? Real quick point. Again, we're not paying attention to it. We really don't care. However, I will say for the people that do, the Blue Bombers are actually going to their 4th straight Grey Cup. So they have a chance to win 3 out of 4, which is actually really good considering their actual history. That's actually the most dominant era for them football-wise. Now, no one in the East cares. And the other one's Montreal, who haven't been relevant in a long time.
They were out of
Look, Toronto won last year and no one cared. Toronto literally won last year. So I was like, good on you.
The most successful franchise?
By far, yes. And consistently so, surprisingly, given how little people care here, they've actually won. They're the only Toronto team that can truly say that they win on a semi-regular basis.
Yep.
But doesn't matter. It happens. Anyway, so that's it for us.
Just for those who are interested, the clubhouse title of the room at the moment is Mega Bidders.
What?
Mega Bidders.
Mega Bidders is the title of the clubhouse room that's going on right now.
Wow. I almost wish I was a member. I said almost.
I don't. I'm good. But with that said, that'll be it for this time around. We're going to finish just before midnight. So folks on the West Coast and folks on the East Coast, enjoy the last 10 minutes of your Friday or the last 3 hours-ish of your Friday. So enjoy that. Otherwise, back. More videos coming up on the channel, the usual thing. Next Friday, live stream will be the usual time. Same bad time, same bad channel. For Eric and his sorting booby oars. For Bobby and his trinkets. For myself and Evil. Have yourselves a good night. We'll catch you in the next one.
I hate name.
I do.